Salutations, Legion of Doom. Welcome to Podcast The Storm. We're socially awkward outcasts, crazy weirdos, and all-around nerds convene, talk, and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co-host, the nerdy occultist, aka the Dalton L. Mortimer.
Hello and good evening, everyone. My phone is being an asshole, so if I disappear randomly, that is what happened. Warning you now, for the sake of transparency and clarity.
And I'm your host, /Time Lord Wannabe, the brains of pop culture. How's everyone doing tonight?
I'm doing well, aside from the aforesaid phone issues. I recently, as I just got through telling Brainstormer, fell down an interior design rabbit hole because I'm going to be moving, hopefully in like 6 months to a year, and that means I will have more space that I will need to fill aesthetically with things. And yes, I am aware of how gay this
Actually,
makes me.
Don, you've always been gay. Why the fuck would that matter now?
Yeah, just add more evidence to the ever-growing pile of evidence of just how super, thanks for asking, I am.
Wait, actually, question, because I forgot to ask. Moving in by yourself, or are you moving in with someone?
My friend Nick. I've told you about him a couple of times. The borderline sociopath who occasionally, when he gets drunk, rants about how he wants to be a fascist dictator.
He didn't go over that part, but I
The
know
blonde
Nick.
one?
No, you talked about Nick, just never that part.
Probably because I was thinking in that moment about how I shouldn't mention that on stream, but oops, there it is now.
You ever notice how sometimes when you're just talking and you say something that you know you shouldn't?
Yeah, but he probably wouldn't mind me mentioning it as long as we don't ever expect him to be a co-host on the stream, because we will get hit pieces on us, and it will probably be semi-justified when it happens if Nick ever becomes a co-host on the stream.
All right. So kind of light this week, and we're just kind of playing catch up with some articles that we meant to cover a while ago, but kind of forgot, which I fully take responsibility for.
Yeah, we've both been busy. In your case with all sorts of shit, and in my case with jumping from foot to foot trying to get the disability bureaucracy under control.
Yeah. All right. Either way, let's get going. Okay, so this is originally from Variety.com. Disney's Boy Trouble. Studio seeks original IP to win back Gen Z men amid Marvel Lucasfilm struggle. It's written by Matt Donnelly. Published August 21st, 2025.
I'm going to reserve most of my rants for when we actually address the substance of the article. But
Speaking, actually, you count as Gen Z, or am I the Gen Z here?
I was very tail end of millennial. I think I think I was one of the last millennials, because most people either cut off millennial at 1995, which is where I'm at, or 1996. So I'm either just before the end of millennial or um or 2 years before the end of millennial. But yes, you are the zoomer here.
Okay. Hello.
Although something I will say, I don't think it's really correct of them to zero in on Gen Z as though Gen Z are unique in this regard. They purposefully destroyed from the inside out every IP they got a hold of, and now they're surprised that the people who were fans of said IPs that they called toxic fans for years are sick of getting told they're toxic. Anyway, moving on.
Hello, Melinda and Damon. Good to see you.
Hello. It's been a while.
All right. Okay. Well, to be fair, I think it's just because like that is the current generation that consumes this
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the current marketable generation. As of this last year, millennials aren't technically marketable anymore because most most like youth marketing, quote unquote, focuses on people who are between the ages of 16 and 28, and I just turned 30, and I'm, like I said, either 1 year or 2 years shy of the end of millennial. So I'm a very young millennial. So given that I'm 30 now, that officially means that the vast majority of millennials are outside of the marketing decade.
To be fully speaking as a Gen Z, I'm not trying to generalize, obviously,
Mm.
but given my own experiences, I don't really. I think you know what? We'll get into it. I don't really want to.
But like I said, it's best in this case, I think, to reserve our rants for the
Yeah,
actual substance of the article.
yeah. But I guess I do want to mention this. Uh,
Mm.
I kind of fell out of Disney. God, how long ago has it been? Maybe it was Disney XD, and I liked a lot of stuff on Disney XD. But
Keep in mind that Marvel and Star Wars now count as Disney as well because they bought
I
them.
know. I'm speaking like the base before the Marvel and stuff, Marvel and
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars thing. Uh, God, where? Like I said, I kind of fell off of Disney. Where would that? You know, I can't really pin it where I fell off with them.
Mm.
To be honest, I think there was just like a time in my teens, towards the end of my high school years, and I just kind of stopped watching it because I didn't really feel like it had anything that grabbed my attention.
Mm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like
I have addendums I'd like to make to that as well, but like I said, we'll do it when we get to the point in the article where they talk about it.
I guess I just wanted to set a base on my uh on how I'm looking at this.
And as far as I'm concerned, which again, very, very tail end of millennial, um, I am one of those, and this probably has something to do with me being gay. I'm one of those Disney adult people. The problem, for me at least, is the quality is so shit now. Like I would love to be able to fanboy about modern Disney the way I fanboy about Disney from the 90s with stuff like Gargoyles and stuff like even in the early 2000s there was stuff like Aaron Stone, which I still think that show got shafted way too early. That show could have gone on for a lot longer than it did. Um
You know, there is
but
a comic book series that is like a direct continuation of it, right?
I did not know that. That is interesting, but back on point. There are things that used to appeal to boys that Disney used to do. Um, even like Gravity Falls had a massive a massive boy fan base because it was all about mysteries and action and weird mystical shit and so on. The issue, especially with the issue with all the things that Disney bought specifically to appeal to young boys, is one, like everyone else has said about this article until now, they explicitly bought brands to appeal to young boys or men and teenagers like Star Wars and Marvel, and then changed them as though there was something wrong with the fact that those brands did appeal mostly to men and boys, and so they tried to make them more female focused. Which that in and of itself was a mistake because it's alienating your core audience that you explicitly bought these franchises to obtain. But even beyond that, because that's only just a symptom, a more core part of the problem, my darlings, is you let all these deconstructivist hacks into the IPs, and said deconstructivist hacks deliberately got rid of everything that relates to anything resulting in merit. They got rid of the focus on in-universe logic. They got rid of the focus on three-dimensional characterization. They got rid of the idea of consistent world building and continuity. And they got rid of anything resembling like aesthetic or stylistic bona fides, and resulted in everything that Disney touched for the last 12 years, decade to 12 years, thereabouts, going from at the top of the world when they acquired it to basically unmentionably poison in the space of about a decade or more, or just over a decade. Like starting in like mid 2019 through now, Marvel has gone from Avengers Infinity War, one of the greatest comic book movies ever made, to every other show being another Falcon and the Winter Soldier or another She-Hulk or another Secret Invasion type. Yeah. But point being, alienating your audience deliberately because you don't like appealing to boys, even though you bought these brands to appeal to boys, is bad enough, and it is also a symptom. But more so than that, you let a bunch of art school hacks and quasi journalists tell you what you should do artistically, and you called anyone out who told you that they were full of shit for being toxic fans, and now here we are. You basically ridden these IPs into the ground, and
Dalton?
yeah, sorry, moving on. Yeah.
What was that about waiting?
Yeah, moving on.
Alright, Cinderella and Sleepy Blue. Sorry, fucking Christ. My brain is short circuiting today. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Oh, hey, Giant Troll. Dalton? Ah, shit. I'm doing pretty good. Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty aren't the only one. Yep, there he goes. Okay, well, we're gonna wait for Dalton. How you doing, Giant Turtle? Alright, where was? Let me look through my notes so I can read something for you guys. Uh, Okay, I will be reading Sugar Skulls by Envy of the Coast. Okay. Isabella, stand a little bit taller. I don't deserve your tears any more than you deserve the fears that I have left with you, dear. May I bless your every last tear. She's just a little girl. She knows nothing of this little game we like to play. So tell the martyrs to wait at the gate. Hello? Don? Don, if you're talking, I cannot hear you. Uh, okay. He's gone again. I agree. Drangela was cool. Actually, Aaron Snow was like the first ever Disney XD show I remember watching as a kid. I genuinely like that. I think it was canceled, unfortunately. Like, it ended on a cliffhanger. Anyway, let me start over with Sugar Skulls by Envy of the Coast. Isabella, stand a little bit taller. I don't deserve your tears any more than you deserve the fears that I have left with you, dear. May I bless your every last tear. She's just a little girl. She knows nothing of this little game we like to play. So tell the martyrs to wait at the gate. This is an actual case of the truth. At least that's what they call it these days. So tell your brothers and sisters to wait, because love is nothing to waste, and I swore never your heart shall I break. Widowed and a little less faithful, she lets the sidewalk sympathize with every step she takes. Uh, ankles growing weak, dear. May he bless your every last tear. She's just a little girl. She knows nothing of this little game we like to play. So tell the martyrs to wait at the gate. This is an actual case of the truth. At least that's what they call it these days. So tell your brothers and sisters to wait, because love is nothing to waste. And I swore, never your heart shall I break. Isabella, stand a little bit tall. Okay. Hello?
Okay, hello. Yes.
Yeah,
Now
okay.
we may continue. Sorry.
I was reading stuff, so. Okay, so Giant Turtle came in. It's catching up.
Huzzah. Hello, DT.
He said Aaron Stone seemed cool.
It is, or it was. I can't speak to its continuity post-show because I haven't read the comics, but I will rectify that.
I'm sorry. There are comics?
Didn't you just say there were comics?
No, Gargoyles. He said Aaron Stone. You have no idea what Aaron Stone is, do you?
I know. I was the one who brought up Aaron Stone, you absolute twat. I mentioned Aaron Stone earlier, and you said it was continued in comic form.
No, I thought I might not have heard Aaron Stone. I heard you say Gargoyles, and
I mentioned Gargoyles, and then I mentioned Aaron Stone, and then I went on an extended.
Okay, that's my fault.
I went on an extended rant about how it ended too soon, and you said it continued in comic form.
Sorry, I didn't hear Aaron Stone. I thought you were talking about Gargoyles. I meant
Gargoyles. Frankly, should have ended at the end of season 2. The series finale should have been The Gathering.
Okay.
Harder, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I didn't mean Aaron Stone. I meant Gargoyles has a comic continuation in Dynamite that is
Yeah.
supposed to be at the actual season 3 by the
Yeah. That
creators.
I actually knew.
Because we covered it. I remember we covered it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear you say Aaron Stone, so that's my bad.
All right, but in any case, moving on.
Drantro made mention. You aren't like V, right? Talking like American media, Disney in particular, was the height of human artistic achievement, and only they could ever reclaim such heights.
Well, no, but I will say it would be a shame if we have to export everything to Japan and South Korea. Like I don't mind
Also,
Japan and South Korea contributing to things, especially because the millennials were very much the anime generation by way of Toonami. But it would be a damn shame if we had to rely on Japan to fix everything, because we shouldn't have to.
I don't remember which was the first I've seen, but it's one of the few live action shows I liked after I grew out of the Disney Channel. There are a lot of live action, so I don't.
Like I said, it was in this brief moment where they had just revamped Toon Disney into Disney XD, and they were trying to be a little bit more action oriented and a little bit more edgy. And
wait,
Aaron Stone.
Sorry, I remember watching Toon Disney. I think they did reruns of Power Rangers.
Yeah, in their late night block known as Jetix.
Okay, I'm also going to say this. Just sorry, side rant here. The best era of Power Rangers was the Disney era.
I'm trying to remember which shows were in the Disney era. Technically,
Ninja Storm, SPD.
I thought Ninja Storm was Nickelodeon.
No.
Anyway, that's my bad.
Ninja Storm, SPD, Dino Thunder.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it was Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, SPD, Mystic Force. Was after Mystic Force? Operation Overdrive, I believe.
I've made myself very, very, very clear about the absolute waste of potential that Mystic Force was.
I think it had cool stuff in it, though. I think we both agree on that. Obviously, yes, I agree with waste potential, obviously.
The idea of doing a fantasy season of Power Rangers is a brilliant fucking idea, especially given how often magic is a factor in the Rangerverse. But they tried to do a magic season, and they didn't let any actual like magical shit or hardly any magical shit in it. There were some ideas in Mystic Force that I liked, and I would have liked to have seen handled in a better series. Like, for example, the idea of Rhea going good and becoming the Mystic Mother.
Well, she did become good because of Zoran's sacrifice in space. So
right, so, yeah, and having her then become the Mystic Mother works. I also really liked the Tribunal of Magic, the quasi living tribunal type characters that oversee the balance of dark and light magic and so on.
Dude, hold on. General, you've never watched Power Rangers?
Yeah, DT, shame on you. You need to catch up. You need to catch up like yesterday.
What the fuck?
Yeah, how in the fuck one grows up in the early 2000s and doesn't wind up watching at least one season of Power Rangers?
I will say
beyond me.
Jungle Fury is like my favorite season of Power Rangers.
Jungle Fury was fun. I liked Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder significantly better than those.
Oh yeah, no. I did see that video.
I think RJ was one of my favorite mentor characters, though.
Oh yeah, no, he was awesome. I was aware of the comics. Source Superhero. Yeah, that video is coming up a lot on my recommended. I haven't watched it yet. Great YouTuber, by the way. Really cool.
Mm.
I watched things like Ben 10 and Jimmy Neutron. Okay, I watched those too. Okay, you don't
Yeah,
have to
but
pick.
you missed out on Power Rangers is the thing, sir. And funnily enough, when we would have been growing up was the like 10th anniversary of Power Rangers, and they wound up rerunning all the old seasons. That's one of the ways Power Rangers was one of the easiest shows for me to catch up on. Um,
Oh,
because
really? I just binged them on Netflix like a decade ago.
yeah, no, Jetix around 2005, 2006 ish. It was the 10th anniversary of Power Rangers, and so Jetix reran all of the old seasons, starting with Mighty Morphin and going up.
I remember back in the 2010s, like the early like 2010 actually, they started to rerun. Like it was like after Disney kind of was selling it, and before they started doing Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on what anniversary you're talking about. Dragon Turtle with Power Rangers. Um, they started rerunning the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. In between, like after, I think it was when it was in circulation, like the rights of the Power Rangers. Like I think before it reverted back to Saban. And I actually learned about this. Stan Lee actually could have made Power Rangers originally.
I hope there's a Just Imagine out there somewhere for Stan Lee and Power
Okay, so
Rangers.
the thing was, like, he actually was looking at like the Tokusatsu stuff, like Super Sentai,
Yeah,
um, Sun Vulcan. There's like a 3-man Ranger team.
right.
He's looking to
Yeah,
get right to that, um, and like get Americanized or something like that. Like the rights to make like something of it. Never went anywhere though, unfortunately.
that could have been really good, or it could have been really terrible. But there
Um,
are no two ways with Stan Lee. Sometimes Stan Lee aces it, and hence the the Marvel ruling the Silver Age. Although that was at least as much due to Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko as it was Stan Lee, if not more.
okay, you mean Operation Overdrive? I just remember they were doing an Ancestry season with this huge invasion of Earth at one point where all the Rangers sort of show up. No, that's no Super Megaforce and Super Megaforce. Yeah, no, that was a total clusterfuck. That
Yeah,
was fun.
that was the 20-year anniversary. I want to say because the 10-year anniversary was right between Dino Thunder and SPD. That's when Jetix was doing all the reruns.
I think Dino Thunder actually might have been my no Ninja Storm was my first. Or
I think it was my first too, but after the 10-year anniversary thing happened. Also to be fair, before I even got into Power Rangers, I had an older friend of mine who was in high school when I was in elementary school, and he used to tell me about the old show. So that it was it was very easy to convince like 8-year-old Dalton that binge watching all of Power Rangers when the 10th anniversary happened was a good idea. Although to be fair, that was probably going to be inevitable to some degree on the basis that whenever I
Um,
get into any franchise, my first port of call is gives me all the lore.
right. But yeah, no, Megaforce and Super Megaforce because they were kind of like a combined season. Uh,
Yeah, that's another one in the same category as Mystic Force, where I'm like, there were so many interesting ideas they could have used in that, and they didn't use any of them.
oh, and okay, and the reason why you were thinking Nickelodeon was after Saban bought the rights, they started producing it on Samurai, Super Samurai, Megaforce, Super Megaforce, Ninja Steel, Super Ninja Steel.
Yeah, I knew that Nickelodeon had the rights at one point. I just didn't remember if it was. I
It was
didn't remember at what point the switchover
uh,
happened.
yeah, it was 2010s.
Yeah. Okay, but Power
Anyway,
Rangers, Power Rangers fanboying aside, and shaming Dragon Turtle into watching. at least the first 10 seasons or so of Power Rangers.
Okay, to be fair, fuck, it's complicated because the
At least okay, if not everything between Mighty Morphin and SPD, at least
okay,
the Zordon era, at least the original Zordon era.
uh, hmm, I I don't know. I think that's you and I disagree on that, but anyway, yeah, we got
Yeah,
that
back on point.
Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty aren't the only ones looking for a prince. Leadership at Walt Disney Studios has been pressing Hollywood creatives in recent months. Multiple sources tell Variety for movies that will bring young men back to the brand in a meaningful way. Young men is defined by sources at ages 13 to 28, aka Gen Z. First, every film studio is looking for better ways to convert young audiences into habitual moviegoers. Numerous studies show that Gen Z men in particular are a lonely, gaming-obsessed group who were hampered in their formative years by COVID-19 lockdowns. Not the easiest segment to grasp. Okay.
Okay. Okay, you want to go first or shall I go first? Because there's two different points that I need to address. And shit.
I feel like letting you go first would be the best course.
Okay. Point one, before we got to the fucking misandry bomb at the end there. First of all, you don't need new IPs to appeal to Gen Z men.
Well,
Gen Z men, just like Millennial men and Gen X men before them, are drawn to things that are actually well handled and well written. So rather than the entire premise of looking for new IPs to appeal to young men is an issue because the sensible solution that people have been telling you since at least 2013 is instead of driving existing IPs into the ground and going looking for new ones to fuck over, you could try to fix the ones you already broke for like the last decade. You could try to salvage Marvel and Star Wars and the action oriented part of the Disney IP instead of fucking looking for new IPs to fuck over and never addressing the fact that you're the ones who are ruining them. And secondly, now we may address the misandry bomb because actually no, there are three things I need to address, and before we get into the misandry bomb, which is going to take the longest, we need to address an error in your numbers here. Gen Z are not the generation who were fucked over by COVID. The generation fucked over by COVID is Gen Alpha. And by the way, also your numbers are off there too, because the generation who would now be about 13 to 15 is Gen Alpha, not Gen Z. You're already fucking around with a false premise to begin with, but you're also focusing on the wrong generation. If you want to target Gen Z, they're the people who are between like 16 and 27 or so right about now. Now you may go, because the third thing I was going to address, the misandry bomb, is going to take me longer than I thought. So you may go while I get my thoughts together.
All right. Well, as a Gen Z man,
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, was addressing
Brainstormer identifies as plural now, apparently.
Shut up. Okay, I don't know why my brain's a little fuzzy tonight. Okay.
I know. I was just making a joke.
That'll actually be funny.
I think it was hilarious. We will see. We will see if I'm the only one who thought that was funny just now. When DT catches up.
Okay. You know what? I'm actually not gonna. It's weird. I agree. It's misandry with the last part, right? Mm-hmm. But it's technically not wrong in the sense that society has kind of. Well, you know what? No, I don't want to go there. Okay, the thing I was actually going to address, to be fully honest, because I think Dawn will do it better at covering the last part.
Yeah.
It's not so much. Well, one thing, kind of counteracting what you said, I don't disagree that they did fuck up a lot of the original properties that they had that turned off a lot of people, not just Gen Z even.
Yeah.
But
anyone with a brain that actually works for 5 minutes.
yeah, but I do think I wouldn't mind. Honestly, I would prefer original stuff. Obviously, it just has to be good, quality. Don't get a lot of that even.
Yeah, you can move from IP to IP, but if you don't address the way you're writing those IPs, this will just keep happening. No matter what you buy to try and staunch the bleeding and fill the hole in the ship that you made, if you don't address the hole, it's just going to keep filling up with more water, metaphorically speaking.
Right, but also I think the issue is, well, it actually is just Gen Z in total. When you try to market it towards that audience, you have people that are not either part of it, part of the of the generation, or close enough to the generation to understand the generation, and thus try to adapt trends and stuff like that. And it just does not come off as either genuine or tactful or tasteful, or however you want to say it. And
it actively probably pisses your target audience off because they don't like that kind of pandering in the first place.
Yes, thank you. I was going to use the word cringe, but I don't like using that word.
Yeah, but long story. Yeah, but back to what I was going to, because this kind of leans into the misandry thing that I was going to point out, but I will piggyback off your thing because it's smoother. Yeah, here's tip number 1 for being appealing to an audience, any audience ever. Don't call them lame and like getting to the misandry thing I was going to address. That description at the end, the Gen Z are a bunch of video game obsessed losers who were socially crippled by COVID. That whole rigmarole. That brings to mind something that I've noticed recently, which is corporations don't actually want boys and men. They just now realize they need them back. There's a crucial distinction here which is important, and it's going to probably reoccur throughout this entire article. There's a difference between making your audience feel wanted and just admitting that you need them. Admitting that you need them is to say we want to manipulate them into giving us their money as much as possible. Saying that you want them requires you to actually make them feel like they are liked. And this is the difference. And maybe this is part of the reason why social justice was such an easy sell for corporations. And maybe, me being an MRA, I do kind of notice the like subtle misandry here. Maybe part of the reason why social justice was such an easy sell for corporations is because corporations don't actually like or want men any more than the rest of our society does. They just tolerated them for a while because they felt they needed to. And then along comes social justice and says, we found a way where you can trade all those men you don't like and are barely tolerating to trade them in for girls. And corporations, of course, saw that and went, sign me up, friend. It sounds brilliant. And 12 years later, after those ideological shrews tried to sell that for more than a decade, they're now realizing, oh wait, shit, we now have to have the men back because it turns out that mythical, modern audience TM didn't materialize, and we didn't get a chance to swap all the men in our audience for women who we would prefer pandering to. So instead, they're now realizing, well, we need men back, but we still don't like them. So this is the best olive branch we're getting. we're getting called video game obsessed losers who were socially crippled by COVID, and that's supposed to count as their olive branch because at least we're acknowledging we need you. We still don't like you, and we would very much like you to be women instead, but we have to acknowledge that we need you for practicality reasons now, so this is our olive branch. That olive branch that is frankly rotted to the bone by the fact that you have active contempt for your audience. And I don't care what audience you're trying to court or convince or pander to. If your olive branch to that audience is you are a bunch of contemptible losers, you have failed. The first port of call should always be make your audience feel liked, in on the joke or in on the in group, and treat them like they're desired or wanted or liked. That should be obvious. Why it's not obvious, I will never understand. Apart from the aforesaid
Okay.
conjecture on my end.
So, just to point out, Gen Z guy here. I am. How'd you say it again? Socially.
Gaming obsessed losers who were socially crippled by COVID.
I'm socially crippled because I have a lot of trauma in my life, so
yeah,
it's not particular.
It's not. Yeah, like I said earlier, the whole socially crippled by COVID thing, insofar as it is true, is more true of Gen Alpha than it is Gen Z, but they don't know who they're talking to anyway.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm going to read the next part and then I'm going to say it because I was just thinking of it regarding what I had said earlier about like original stuff and their quality thing. Sorry. So it's a little dry. Okay, but what's surprising producers, writers, and other partners in the larger industry is that Disney has been calling for original concepts to lure the demo back to the movies. Okay. I assume you would have something to say, but
yeah, as appealing. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree. Original concepts. Granted, the lure thing is concerning because that doesn't really
sound manipulative rather than.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Honestly, just to be fair, everything that has been said so far has sounded like a manipulation.
Yeah, it sounds like a con artist who is too stupid to realize that sounding like a con artist is an effective con artistry.
So
even people who are con artists will tell you the thing you need to earn first is the mark's trust, and you just completely skipped that part of the con.
So back to what I was saying. Yes, again, original concepts. Totally fine with that. Some actual examples that have gotten a lot of acclaim recently. Arcane is a big one last few years. I know you haven't seen it, Dom, but a lot of people like it and enjoy it.
I tried. I couldn't get through the first episode.
That's on you, because you were not a character guy. Don't know why, but okay.
Because I'm not really an emotions guy either in general. I am a cold bastard. Like literally, like that is the team that I deliberately signed up for because I felt like I could get along with the Queen of Air and Darkness. So it shouldn't surprise y'all that I'm a very, very cold motherfucker.
I mean, if you want to keep lying to yourself, sure. There are some others. Trying to think here. I know, actually, going to comics, Radiant Black has taken off, written by Kyle Higgins, who did the Power Rangers.
You're missing one that you probably are missing because you don't really like it all that much, which is, of course, Has Been Hotel. Although, again, that probably applies more to Gen Alpha than it does Gen Z. But considering that this article conflates Gen Alpha and Gen Z for all intents and purposes, it's still worth mentioning.
Well, no, I was getting to some. I'm just speaking of my own experiences with like original concepts and stuff. So I didn't bring up. Well, to be fair, I've made my opinion known on Has Been Hotel. I don't think it's bad. It's just I think it needs a lot of work.
Which, to be fair, it looks like it's getting, because apparently Amazon thought it was a good idea to buy the rest of the Helliverse so we can actually have Has Been and Helliva crossovers, which of course made me have to catch up and watch all of Hella. But case or not.
Okay. Okay. Let me finish my point, and then I'm going to ask a question regarding that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Radiant Black, for comics, people like that, like the Supermassive verse from Image.
Mm-hmm.
People seem to love that more or less. I can't think. Original video. I've seen some people really dig. There was a game called Hades that came out a few years back, and there's a sequel that's coming out as well, or has come out. I believe it's made by Supermassive Games.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, original concepts are not the issue. It's just the effort and creativity
And the artistic ideology that end up defouling everything it touches. That, frankly,
can I?
Go ahead.
Yeah. What I was saying was, it's the creativity, the effort, the passion put into the project that often catches people and makes them want to do, invest in it, right? And the original, quote unquote, original stuff that Disney has done recently has not done well, simply because it's kind of devoid of passion or, well,
this is, I think, where I'm going to come in, because here's the thing. You can put all the effort and passion into something you want, but if that effort gets misused by being channeled through Frankfurt School style deconstructivism and various forms of critical theory and other neo-Hegelian bullshit, if you channel that effort into ideologies that are wrong by, like, intrinsically, fundamentally, premise-wise, and axiomatically wrong-headed, that no amount of effort is going to fix you.
I see. Can I interject here?
Go ahead.
Okay. It's not that I don't disagree with you. It's not that I disagree with your point. I see it, but I think the issue is, to me at least, how I have seen it. Right. The problem. While adding to your point of those ideologies affecting it, I think the people that are often I'm not sure about the people that work on it precisely, but it's more so the people that are in charge of final decisions, like the producers or the executives.
Or in comics case, the editors.
Yeah. That really cut it down. Because, okay, most recent example I can think of is Disney's Wish, right?
Oh god, that thing.
To be fair, I have seen people do fan reworks of it. There's actually one that's being worked on right now that is working to kind of take a lot of the original concepts. Just again, I'm trying to keep this as succinct as possible, but I might get a little jumbled here, so bear with me. Because I think we all know by this point of the original concepts for Wish are significantly better than what was given.
Yeah, all the rough drafts are better than the final, which is another problem, both ideologically and in terms of administration. That should not be that way around. The concept art should not be better or more visually interesting or more conceptually interesting than the final draft. The rough draft is supposed to be the weaker version that then gets improved. Because of the aforesaid administrative problems, which are instrumental to the ideological and philosophical problems. We now live in a world where the rough draft is almost always better than the final draft. Some quintessential examples, and again, I'm going to be slightly biased because I see more philosophical and ideological problems than most people do. But as an example, in WandaVision, the original idea for the finale of WandaVision was going to be Doctor Strange coming in and helping Wanda through her trauma because he is both a sorcerer, therefore equipped at dealing with magical problems, but also a world-renowned neurosurgeon who knows quite a lot about psychological trauma and shit. But instead of having that happen, which would have made in-universe sense as well as character sense on both parts of Wanda and Strange, they cut Strange out because they didn't think it would be ideologically appropriate to have a female character be saved by a male character, even though it makes perfect sense for both who the characters are as people and the skills that they respectively have. And the more you learn about the behind-the-scenes making, especially of modern-day movies, the more this frustrating thing happens where better ideas are left on the cutting room floor, sometimes literally in the case of extended or cut scenes from movies, or shows, and it ends up utterly crippling the actual substance of the piece because people are intuitively guessing the correct answer and then doing the exact opposite for bullshit ideological and administrative reasons.
Right.
Moving on. Unless you had more to.
No, I don't think so. I was trying to think if I had anything else to say, but I think you pretty much covered the rest. What I was going to say, really.
Okay. Moving on.
Okay. It's the same Disney whose multi-billion-dollar content engines, Marvel and Lucasfilm, have sated men of all ages over almost 2 decades since the company acquired them. The sources say Disney has been seeking new IP and pitches such as splashy global adventures and treasure hunts, as well as seasonal fair-like films for the Halloween corridor. The calls come as the Star Wars machine struggles to produce any film project in superhero genre, sheds audiences by the minute. Okay.
Stop framing that as if it was some kind of naturalistic inevitability. It's not that the genre expired or anything. It's not that people are just sick of the genre by definition. It's that your attempts to add to the genre have been so irrepressibly and irrevocably shit that people have given up on said genre.
Yes.
That was not the case until, and I break with a lot of people's thought process because a lot of people start the problem at phase 4. I maintain that Endgame was an absolute dumpster fire and an absolute piece of shit that only was financially successful because of inertia.
Really, I was going to say Captain Marvel, which is before Endgame. So.
Well, okay. So after Infinity War is where the problem begins.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, starting after Infinity War, they stopped giving a shit about things like in-universe logic, characterization, consistent world building, continuity, likability of any particular strain. If Captain Marvel is any indication.
Hey, Dalton.
And all of sorry, let me finish the sentence and then you can.
To be fair, it's not as important as you think. It's just like something that came to me. So please finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. But all of those things I just went into, if there is a gendered component at all, which I'm not entirely willing to cop to, but insofar as there might be a gendered component to those things that I just listed. It seems like something in the male psyche and the masculine psyche cares more about those things than the artsy fartsy socio-political abstractions and moral woo of themes that modern day art schools are so hyper fixated on. To the point, and this is how far the problem goes. And I've made this point before, but I will make it again for clarity's sake, and because I'm going to keep mentioning it until somebody fixes it. In modern day art schools, they are so hyper fixated on everything but those things I just listed in universe logic, characterization, consistent world building, etc., ad nauseum. They're so devoted to ignoring everything about those things in favor of abstract and moralistic or sociopolitical themes that people will actually, unironically, refer to you as media illiterate if you care more about things like likability, interesting characterization, consistent world building, continuity, etc., than you do about themes, authorial intent, or socio-political and moral woo. That is how far the termites have dined, and again, I'm not saying there necessarily is a gendered component to this, but insofar as there might hypothetically be one, it seems like those kinds of moral abstraction appeal more to the female or feminine psyche, at least, than to the masculine one. And that might have something to do with how far you have alienated not just men, but any person of a more masculine way of thinking. Because there are a lot of women who think more like guys or who are tomboyish than there are like ideologically captured feminists. And that's another one of those lies that Anita Sarkeesian and company told the corporations a decade and a half ago almost, that they need to address. Feminism is not women. BLM is not black people. Critical queer theory is not gay people. And the ideological twats who think that those are the only ideologies capable of speaking to any particular identity group are either idiots, liars, cretins, and most often, all three.
All right, first off, good to see you again, General. He came back. He's catching up. Addressing what we had said earlier, the problem is, one, they can't maintain anything they have from any era or genre. How can they make anything new? And two, a lot more profitable in the short term to chop down the fruit trees and sell them for lumber than to wait for harvest. And the same with these IPs. Three, if we taint people's memories of everything good and suppress anything new, they will be forced to accept our slop.
Yeah, there is that aspect to it of if we just ruin everything, they won't have any option but to take what we gave them.
For the record,
for the greater good, derp.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do the meme there. I respect the analogy in the 2-1 about the fruit trees, for lumber and all that. That's actually that was actually very poetic there, General.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easier to chop down the fruit trees. Never mind that there are people who are starving who desperately want the fruit, so to speak.
The thing I was gonna mention, like around 350, or if you want to wait until 400, like next time we do a special, right? We really should consider like doing like just a whole brainstorming session on stream of reworking the MCU from Infinity War.
And honestly, the hilarious thing that I already alluded to a bit ago is most of the time, all we really need to do to fix what's broken is just scale things back to the original rough draft. Because, like I said, thanks to the art school bullshit, it's almost invariable now where the final draft will always be 2 or 3 shades worse than the rough draft was. Never, and that's completely backwards.
I do think we would actually have to really put some effort into some of the things if we were to keep like everything.
Yeah, so some of them, yeah, but I'm saying like most of the time at least for like the early things in Phase 4, all we need to do is slap their hands and go, stop subverting shit. The things that are there for an intuitively correct reason because they're the right answer, and go with your first instinct. Your first instinct was better than your post abstract bullshit.
Giant Troll, by the way, just try putting together let the past die, kill it if you have to, build back better, and unburdened by what has been. Sound like any phrase you coined on one about empty spaces in Parliament?
Yeah, if we just ruin everything, we get to legislate the void. I don't remember the specific parliamentary example you're referring to, or if I did make a parliamentary example, I'm struggling in this moment to remember it. But yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
While two insiders say the mandate to recruit young males goes as high as the C-suite, the task primarily has fallen to David Greenbaum, the former Searchlight Pictures co-head brought on in 2024 to run Disney's live-action film business. That label has been sorely lacking in guy-leaning fare, like the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, for nearly 10 years. Studio insiders say the property is in active development, though not in its last reported iteration involving Margot Robbie.
Oh. I don't have anything against Margot Robbie. She's a fine actress. But especially after what Disney and Warner Brothers did to him during the Johnny Amber fiasco, y'all owe Johnny Depp like three Jack Sparrow centric movies just to make up for the shit you did to him during the Amber bullshit.
Right. Jan Charles says if you're cold, Dalton, then just get a blanket. Referring to the whole cold-hearted thing earlier.
Yeah, that doesn't work on my heart because my heart was cold to begin with, and then I bound it deliberately and proudly to the Queen of Air and Darkness. So that's not going anywhere.
I don't think you're as cold-hearted as you think you are. Be fair.
I think you expect better of me than I'm capable of most of the time, which I appreciate. As frustrating as it can be when I tell you that I am a cold-hearted bastard, and then you look at me surprised when I do something that's cold-hearted and bastardish.
To be fair, you've never actually really done that.
I can think of several examples on stream where you are surprised by my lack of shits to give about certain emotional bullshit, and then I just look at you with a raised eyebrow and point out, what's the point of being borderline pathologically honest if nobody actually listens when you're pathologically honest about shit?
Okay, I deal with that too, man. Actually, I just bite my tongue, which. Okay, now I'm really starting to understand that I'm really a lot more traumatized than I thought I was. Huh.
Like I said earlier when we were off stream, it is a miracle we're as well adjusted as we are, given the raw materials we had to work with. And as the old saying goes, being sane in an insane world is itself insanity. Moving on.
Did I have a good childhood?
That is the several billion-dollar question, it seems.
Huh. Alright, before we move on, Drangel said, if they want to get men, then something exchange artistic for autistic. You know what?
That would be effective. Weaponized autism is a force of nature unto itself.
Yeah. Anyway, to say nothing of the lackluster attempt to reboot and hand off Indiana Jones in 2023. Wait, oh, I'm sorry. That was 2023?
Yes. Dial of Destiny was 2023.
That wasn't last year? What the fuck?
Yep. No, time. Space is warped and time is bendable, to quote the MST3K meme. Which reminds me, I need to get a physical copy of MST3K at some point, like a box set for MST3K.
Earned $383 million worldwide on a $300 million budget before marketing costs. It's always the marketing cost. I never get that. Disney's source says that movies for Gen Z men are part of an overall strategy across all labels, but no more urgent than any other quadrant. Oh, of course.
Because we can't prioritize men, even though we explicitly admitted to ourselves 5 seconds ago that not prioritizing men and in fact telling men to get fucked was probably a bit of a problem.
So I want to point this out regarding like certain stuff like that. Again, point out some examples of like original stuff that has captured like not captured all audiences, mind you, but is kind of within the made in the time frame of the generation of Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
There was a video game recently called Clair Expedition 33 Clair Obscure.
Mm-hmm.
Made by former Ubisoft developers, and it's just gotten a lot of acclaim. Very good. Like, I could send stuff if you're interested. Like, the lore of it all actually is actually really interesting and artistic and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe people have said it's a very French game because it's their company is like their developers are based in France.
Well, somebody's going to get laid in college, to quote the Rick and Morty meme.
Okay.
You remember the Microverse episode?
Dude, I didn't care for I don't care for Rick and Morty. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
And trying to think of like a more recent, like, well, I don't know if Nobody 2 counts as an original movie per se.
Well, I would say the first one did. I don't know if the sequel counts on the grounds that it is a sequel.
Well, I mean, it's an original IP overall, like the franchise, right?
Right.
Sorry,
trying to figure out how to get my phone to continue charging. It's throwing a tantrum again.
You really gotta consider like buy Christmas. Like, if you want, man, I'll buy you one.
No, it's fine. I just need a new charger, which I'll have to ask my mom about.
Okay.
Couldn't today because my mom's boyfriend is having his kids over, and I have such a minimal tolerance for little kids. I didn't even like little kids when I was one. So yeah, I'm just going to have to wait until they go home, probably.
You're a weird dude, man. Anyway.
Little kids are annoying and creepy. I don't know what you want from me.
Motherfucker, you're annoying and creepy. Fuck you on about.
Yeah, but there's a difference between the Addams Family style owning your creepiness and the creepy kids from the fucking Shining shit. The like accidental creepiness that sometimes people attribute to clowns and shit.
Okay, trying to think. Fuck, where was I? I lost my train of thought there. Fuck.
Gen Z appealing IPs.
Right. I want to say Pacific Rim, kind of. Like the first one, obviously. Second one was shit. No one liked that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that actually did get me into, well, actually no, Big O, but that was older. That actually would have been like more your generation.
I mean, my generation is probably more like Megas XLR, if you remember that.
No, I do.
Wouldn't. It was before your time.
I watched it. Okay, I was very young, but I watched it. Should have gotten more space.
I don't know where the generational blind spots are going to show up, because sometimes the 4 years difference between us doesn't really make much of a difference, and sometimes I make a reference to something that I would consider required viewing for everyone who was born in our generation, and then you completely blank on it.
Well, again, I also had a very busy young life, if you can call it that. But
Yeah, the Doofenshmirtz style, emotionally scarring backstory, etc.
backstories, but sure.
Well, but Heinz also has. I think somebody did a compilation of all the emotionally scarring backstories, and it ended up being like 2 hours long.
Okay. Fuck was I? Okay. So yeah, there are franchises that in recent years that aren't original that have come out that have gripped Gen Z, or well, really every generation, mind you, because I don't think they were specifically targeting anyone. Just
Which that's another thing to uh, put a bookmark in here. Maybe instead of trying to manipulate and pander and convince and cajole and con people into liking stuff, you might just try to make something as good as you possibly can, and then trust in the principle of if you build it, they will come. Because
yeah,
most things that wind up being timeless or wind up having a long lasting legacy weren't trying to be trendy, hip, or with it. And in fact, some of the easiest way you can turn off the younger generation's TM is by trying to be how do you do fellow kids,
right.
essentially.
I mean, hell, even like okay, going with Star Wars or well, Marvel is a bit iffy, but uh, like this the Andor series that's gotten a lot of acclaim recently, obviously because it's a really good show, or the Fallen Order, uh, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or
Mm.
Jedi Survivor, I believe, is the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Here's something else to keep in mind too. And yes, I'm bringing up this example again because I think it's applicable. It's not just men you're losing, Disney. You're losing everybody. And you want to know how I know? Because Has Been Hotel exists. And the premise, such as it is, of Has Been Hotel is what if the daughter of Lucifer was a literal Disney princess complete with musical accompaniment? In a world where Disney knew what the fuck they were doing, they would have probably bought Has Been Hotel from Busy Pop.
I,
Because frankly, Has Been Hotel and to a lesser extent Hello Boss is literally just somebody doing the Disney formula better than Disney has for at least a decade.
and
It it
I
it,
would
it it says something about the current um,
be right back.
day and age overall that the Disney um, the Disney attempt at fairy tale musical in this day and age is Rachel Zegler's Snow White, and someone else's attempt to do a Disney style princess musical Has Been Hotel and Hello Boss. So yeah, it's not just I, of course, as a men's rights advocate, would very much like if we stopped demonizing the shit out of men just on principle. But it's not just men you're losing. All the women who do like princesses and fairy tales and musicals and all those other feminine shit, all those other like stereotypically feminine or feminine gay guy shit, either go to something like Has Been Hotel or another great example of someone out Disneying Disney, the Wicked musical from last year and presumably this year too, given that Wicked Part 2 is about to come out. That means that not only have you lost the audience you allegedly were trying to court a decade or so ago, Disney, you lost your main audience because turns out everything that gets touched by the modern day art school, neo-Hegelian post-Frankfurt School shit stick is so shit that nobody wants it.
Uh, I, I agree, General. Doesn't exist. To be fair, there are like spin-offs. Like there's a couple comic series, I believe, and also there's Pacific Rim: The Black, which actually is really good, from what I remember of it.
Yeah, we don't talk about Uprising. Uprising is a unmentionable black mark on the history of art in general.
The only reason I really remember that movie, because I have tried to block most of it out, is because I actually went out with some friends. Although I was the third wheel because there was a couple I went out with.
Oh, these are the ones that made you envious by being all cutesy and shit.
Yep. Good people though. They were cool. They were cool people. I just
It sucks. It sucks being the guy in your friend group watching the other two be all cutesy and romantic and shite.
yeah.
I've been there, done that. I didn't buy the T-shirt because T-shirts shall be burnt in effigy forevermore. But I bought the monogrammed bow tie instead. There, that's my equivalent.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm gonna have to. No, you know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. Anyway, moving on.
Yep, moving on.
Well, okay. Actually, to reference the Indiana Jones thing, um, the video game that came out, I believe, either early this year or was it later last year? Hold on. There was a game. I know it. Okay, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle that came out. When did it come out? Uh, okay, yeah, December 2024. Okay. I've heard a lot of people like that game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait, no, it was something. Though that rumor did include the author apparently supporting it, or at least so that would be an unfortunate reality. It was something dumber, if I recall, that the kaiju makers were future humans trying to invade the past or something. And of course, the global warming thing is canon, so dumb. Okay, you've heard of the Black Kid, okay.
The time travel stuff of it being ancient or future humans traveling back in time, that premise could have worked. Like, it's an interesting enough premise that they could have made it work if they weren't too busy shitting all over what made the first movie good.
To be fair, it didn't have Guillermo del
Guillermo
Toro.
del Toro, yeah, which is probably horrible mistake number one. I think we should add Guillermo del Toro to the list of people aside, Jim Carrey or beside Jim Carrey, who, if this person who was involved in the original doesn't want to be involved in the sequel, then you've done fucked up and you should abort the premise now for your own good.
Originally, it was supposed to be called Pacific Rim Maelstrom, which sounds so much fucking cooler.
Yeah, because what the fuck? What actual uprising was there in Pacific Rim 2 for that to be the subtitle of?
To be fully honest, it would have made more sense, okay, having dealt with the kaiju, right?
Yeah,
And since they still had the Jaegers and all that, and even like like it even show that people were independently building Jaegers because of all the scrapped Jaeger mechs, right?
right.
Um,
Go over and invade the alien or future human sphere so that they stop sending kaijus.
not well. I assume okay, given the ending of Pacific Rim, I would assume they would have been killed because of the explosion from Gypsy. Um,
Right. Assuming that that was as effective as they thought it was going to be, which I always thought that that would just be kind of the opening shot across the bow, and it would require more work than that. But
well, if just to hold off on that, if they because it's supposed to be based off mecha stuff. Obviously, they didn't, and they kind of fucked this up with the second one when they showed a Gundam statue in Japan.
it's just world
It's
building and continuity are important for goddamn reasons. It's not media illiterate to give a shit about those things. You can't.
Pacific Rim is inspired by mecha, but they don't do direct calls to it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Um, that there's basically because originally humanity was kind of together in fighting the kaiju, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you have that central enemy taken out,
Oh, I see. Now they're going to quarrel with each other over it. Yeah, that could have worked.
yeah, because that was the only reason they were working together.
Yeah, once the existential threat is gone, human's gonna human.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, John. I saw you were sending stuff, so I didn't. Uh. Okay. Let me. By the way, have you guys seen Gundam? I have seen bits and pieces of it. It's never grabbed me, to be fair.
I sat with Night Wolf for several hours while he tried to fill me in on the lore of Gundam. That's about as far as I've dug into it, though, because as interesting as some of the lore sounds, I don't think I would really like Gundam as a franchise.
I know Joan Arts has sung its praises a lot, but as far as mech focused stuff, mostly just my out of date Pacific Rim knowledge, BattleTech, and now starting to be Armored Core as well. I have looked into Armored Core. It's actually really interesting. Mainly, to be fair, actually, it's hard to find any videos on the lore of Armored Core, like consistent.
Most of what I know about Gundam comes from, like I say, Night Wolf.
I'm gonna be honest. I was more into Gurren Lagann for mecha stuff. Also, Big O. If anyone's seen that,
I don't know if I really have. I don't know really if I have a Gundam related French or like.
Okay, could you send me that Giant Turtle, the channel, like the link to it? Um, you forget the idea was that they tried to take over in the dinosaur era and killed them, but the atmosphere wasn't right, and global warming was making it right. But how does that make sense for if they are humans? The explosion thing, not killing them all, does make sense. If the makers were more spread out, then the explosion wouldn't hit them all. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like I said, I always thought that the ending of Pacific Rim would just be like the opening salvo in a mutual combat situation. Because
Right.
before it was mostly just the aliens or future evolved humans sending more and more
I do agree the
kaijus to fuck with their shit.
I, for the Jaeger Civil War, cool idea about it. Thank you. The plot could be using cloned kaiju as deniable weapons. I mean,
that's another interesting idea they could have explored. The idea that now that the major threat has passed, assuming they wanted to play that game, you might see people looking into like genetic engineering and creating kaiju of their own. That would be cool.
I mean, they have black markets that specialized in just getting all the organs and stuff.
Right. So it's not out of left field that some crafty genetic engineer would be like, I'm gonna make giant kaiju weapons because
Or you know what? Actually, okay, hear me out. Kaiju Jaegers from from the actual Uprising movie, right?
Right. I'm assuming your version is better than the fuck they were trying to do, but
I think the issue was that it wasn't properly built up, and also they didn't look as cool.
they just yeah.
Wait, there is a Kaiju Jaeger in Pacific Rim: The Black. Like there's a hybrid. It's a whole plot line.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, on the list of ideas that could have worked if the people extolling those ideas weren't complete twats.
It's like its own independent thing. Like it has no side in the conflict. Really, it's kind of doing its own thing. Like it's got its own consciousness and stuff.
Which makes sense.
Okay, hot take, and this doesn't make it bad. Gurren Lagann is Gundam Dragon Ball with a different message. Yeah, I can agree with that. I know you probably haven't watched that, Don.
No, like I said, as interesting as some of what Nightwolf told me about Gundam was, I don't think there's much room in the giant robot thing for me.
I wasn't talking about Gundam. I was talking about Gurren Lagann.
Right, but it's a similar thing. Like I just don't. Power Rangers and Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go notwithstanding, there's just not much for me in terms of giant
I
robot
think
fights.
the Gurren Lagann is it's made by Studio Trigger. Guys did like Kill la Kill, other stuff.
Hmm.
So it's very bombastic. It's very out there. They literally have like by the end of the series, I think it's just one season, right? Giant Troll, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. By the end of the season, they literally have a mecha battle on top of a galaxy.
Okay, that's just insane enough that makes me curious.
Yeah, it's actually a very optimistic story. I mean, it can be dark, from what I remember.
Well, I mean, anime.
Yeah. Wait, a
A lot
spinoff.
of times the optimistic stuff is really dark, and a lot of times the dark stuff is surprisingly optimistic.
Okay, wait, a spinoff because too alien from the main idea of something between a mecha and a pseudo Dragon Rider thing, where the cockpit is cybernetically implanted into the kaiju, and the pilot drifts with the kaiju itself. Nope, the author just didn't know how to represent universes visually.
Interesting. Okay, but in any case, we really need to move on because this article is taking a
To
surprisingly long period here.
be fair, we've been getting really subtracted this.
Yeah, moving on.
Greenbaum recently hired Daria. I'm gonna butcher this last name, and I apologize. As Surchek, the savvy former Paramount Pictures co-chief, to assist in this effort. Greenbaum is beloved by talent, but has largely existed in the prestige indie sphere, while Krychek shepherded films from franchises like Sonic the Hedgehog, A Quiet Place, and Smile. It's actually not a bad pedigree.
Yeah, okay, that makes me slightly more optimistic. The indie sphere bullshit was making me worried again because for the love of God, stop art housing. That's the biggest thing you can do aside from the aforementioned quality bullshit that we said
Okay,
to
speaking of someone who
get back on track is stop art housing, motherfucker, please, for the love of God.
um,
Let something be mainstream and normal for 5 seconds.
so kind of to counter your point. Speaking as someone who actually prefers indie stuff, granted, it's quality indie. Like, yes, I disagree. I agree with you on the whole art house thing. I think art house is kind of bullshit.
Well, what I meant, in case it wasn't clear, is don't do the Oscar bait shit that's happened
No, yeah,
recently. Where
no,
yeah,
we're in agreement on that. I was just pointing that out. Like, uh, if a guy is working, like, obviously, I think what, as you said, I think that's where they kind of meant with the indie sphere thing.
Mhm.
But honestly, guys who work in the indie industry, kind of are a little better. Um,
Yeah, as long as they're not so far up their own ass, they try to deliberately bore and or annoy the audience, a la what the Oscars have done for like the last decade. Is how,
I'm gonna
how
be honest. I've never given a shit about the Oscars. I think it's overplayed or over.
I used to give a shit about the Oscars back when they had some semblance of meritocracy to them, but for the last decade or maybe even like 15 years, um, the idea appears to be the less likable, interesting, or entertaining something is, the more artistic it is. TM, and I hate that fucking hipster shit
It's a
so
weird thing
much.
that there can't be like. I am fairly certain there are movies or stories or anything that have that balance of
Yeah,
artistic.
why can't you be artistic with IPs that are fun, enjoyable, or interesting? Why do you have to have such chip on your shoulder contempt for likability and entertainment value that you have to deliberately put all your eggs into the basket of let's bore and annoy the audience with artistry as hard as we possibly can and make it as devoid of likability and entertainment value as we can. Like for example, in a sane world, the the biggest fucking the biggest contenders for best picture so far would be Sinners and Weapons, and there was a third one that I was thinking of, but I can't remember it at this particular moment. But yeah, movies like Sinners and Weapons in a sane world would be up for best picture. but instead, because Sinners and Weapons had mainstream box office appeal, it can't be Best Picture because reasons.
Alright,
Because it doesn't count as art unless people are bored and annoyed at it. Apparently.
Okay, Giant Turtle. So it was a mecha battle, referring to Gurren Lagann. So it was a mecha battle in a multiversal void. Just clear, that means they were fighting on top of a universe, and if I recall correctly, there is a point someone throws one at them. Also, a point where before that, where they are stuck in an infinite labyrinth.
Okay, you are successfully convincing me, TT. I might actually give Gurren Lagann a chance now.
It's also got some. You know what? I don't think any of. Well, maybe one of the main characters is your type.
So lovable, adorable himbos.
Himbo. It's also like a super. Well, okay. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. If you're interested in watching it, you should watch it.
You should know me better than that by now. I do not give a fuck about spoilers.
No, I just don't want to spoil. Like, I like if you watch it, I want to get your genuine reaction of certain characters.
Okay, you're blue balling me here. What about these characters are supposed to be appealing?
You must be used to being blue balled, to be fair. So
yes, thank you. I am aware. I am still a virgin at 30 years old. Hopefully, when the disability money goes through and I get moved to Wilkes-Barre, that will shortly fucking fix itself. But I don't know.
Also, just regarding what we were previously saying, it's the same with high fashion. It's all those luxury beliefs where you have to stand out and see the emperor's lack of clothing, and of course, get tension.
Yeah, the utter contempt for likability, interest, or engagement, and defining art by how devoid of fame it is just it flummoxes me. Like I just
okay. I'm not sure how you feel about this comment from Gentrol. Weapons, heard someone say it was a bit underwhelming. Was that wrong? I'm gonna be honest, Gentrol. When I saw the trailer for it, I didn't really like it. Like, it didn't interest me or grab me.
I haven't seen it yet. I've just heard that everyone who I've talked to have liked it, which even if it's not a movie I would like, in my mind still makes it at least admissible to the same category as Sinners of people liked it enough that it probably does deserve at least to be nominated for Best Picture, even if it doesn't win. I still think that unless and until something better comes along, in what I would define as a sane and just world, Sinners would be the automatic win for Best Picture. But
anyway, Don's balls are the color of his blood, spiritually, if not in bleeding.
Yes, thank you. Because winter. Yes, well done, DT. Well done.
Okay. Some think the push for this demographic is simply Greenbaum trying to put his stamp on live action. Yet numerous power players spoke with Variety see something ominous in the tea leaves. Sorry. When the execution is correct, Disney's sweet spot at the movies has been millennials. That generation rapidly consuming classic vault titles like The Lion King, 101 Dalmatians, and Lilo and Stitch. Kids, okay, that was when early Gen Z wants that shit too. Well, mostly Lilo and Stitch.
Well, yeah, they're not good at determining where the generations are. But in any case, here's the thing, and it goes back to what we've been saying about quality and about fucking artistically rewriting shit. The live action remakes didn't have to suck inherently. Had you actually kept most of the style and flavor of the original IPs and just made them live action, that would have gone over much better. It's this retarded need to make something live action by removing all the style from it. Instead of replicating that style using CGI or lighting in a live action format, they just remove all the color and style, and therefore the live action version becomes flat. That's not because live action is inherently more flat than animation. It's because for some reason you thought you could remake something without paying attention to how the original was executed and what worked about the original. Whatever I may think of the live action DreamWorks How to Train Your Dragon, it's at least a lot closer to the original in terms of its style than most of the Disney live action remakes are. You can't just stick a sticker on something and call it the same thing because it happens to go through the same like talking points or the same paces. If you want to actually make a good rendition of a live action remake, then you have to either replicate the style of the original or find some new style to infuse the live action version with. Quintessential example of this, the Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians from the 90s is probably still to this day the best Disney live action remake because it either replicated the style of the original in certain places or in the case of like turning Cruella into a Miranda Priestley-esque fashion mogul, gave the live action version a whole new set of style. And ironically, one of the least bad Disney live action remakes in recent years was the Cruella remake. So for some reason, 101 Dalmatian lends itself to being live actioned a lot easier. Or maybe the people involved in Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians and I forget the actress from Cruella simply realized that just because something is in live action now doesn't mean you can let it be devoid of style in the name of naturalism and realism. You do realize live action environments can also have stylization to them, you twats, especially with CGI and lighting.
Yeah, a lot of The Mandalorian, which is another good show, by the way. I'm not sure about. I only really watched like first 2 seasons. I'm not sure about the rest. A lot of their sets were actually like, relatively CGI. They had those like big digital screen things that generated the landscape.
Right.
Not like a blue screen or a green screen, but actually like it was like basically like a screen that would project like digital landscapes.
I want to say the word is rotoscoping, but that's not right. I know what you mean. It's just I just can't think of it as
there's like a background behind the scenes kind of featurette on YouTube, I believe, that talked about it. It's been a few years, obviously. I can't remember the name of it, but
right. Anyway, we should continue on.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Next article, and then after that, we're probably gonna have to save the third one for next week.
Yep.
Now they bring their children in droves to see live action reboots. Yeah, that's been like over like a decade.
And even then, a lot of people are getting really sick of the live action remakes, not because live action is somehow inferior to animation, but because the live action versions are shit. If you didn't make live action versions that are shit, they would be more successful. Case in point, the Glenn Close 101 Dalmatians is probably still to this day the best Disney live action remake.
This year's billion-dollar grosser, Lilo and Stitch over-indexed with Men and Boys. Disney previously said Gen Z is a different story. Okay, to be fair, I have not looked at Lilo and Stitch, which I am.
I have, and I'm going to rant about it, but I will let you go first before do so.
I'm aware of the drastic change they did to it and how basically everyone.
Yeah, again, I will put a pen in the necessary "I told you so" rant so that you could finish first.
Wait, hold on. When we watched the trailer, you were the one that was excited for it.
No, I didn't mean you. I meant there's a point that I made earlier that gets called back to because of what they did with Lilo and Stitch, and that was going to be the "I told you so." I wasn't saying it was something that you and I had argued about. It was just
for record,
Lilo and Stitch is a proof of concept for something I said earlier. So this is where I'm going to do the "I told you so" thing.
To end my point, then, just so you have the floor. I told you so because when we watched the trailer, I didn't like it, and I could feel someone was off about it, while you were the one basically sucking its dick.
The aesthetics involved in Lilo and Stitch live action are significantly better than most of the live action remakes, especially in the last 5-10 years. But and this is where I basically drop a QED here. That thing I said earlier about you will end up wasting your effort if you channel that effort towards all sorts of art school bullshit. The changes between the animated Lilo and Stitch and the live action Lilo and Stitch, and in particular the ending, are a perfect example of why. Because instead of having the and there isn't really a better word for this, so I'm going to swallow the metaphorical lemon and use this word, and I'm going to hate myself for it. The themes of the original Lilo and Stitch, Ohana means family, found family, redeeming something that's inherently evil by teaching it to be good, etc. All those things basically got shed upon in the live action version because instead of fighting for Lilo and proving that she is a worthwhile guardian, and in the process also bringing Jumba and Pleakley into their found family and lead into the sequels and, of course, the TV show. Instead of that, what they did was Lilo essentially ends up telling Nani, or Nani ends up thinking to herself, and the movie basically ends up siding with her, that she should give up Lilo to the foster care system so that she can go to college, like a modern day HR hag. And this attitude of the actual substance of the story don't matter, the in-universe logic doesn't matter, and characters should be allowed to be as narcissistic and egomaniacal as they want, because whoever heard of heroes being likable because of their sacrifices they make for others, etc. That attitude that comes straight from the handbook of social justice protagonists. They basically turned Nani in the live action version into a character similar to Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, the show's version of She-Hulk, or the twins from The Acolyte. They did the whole the world putting responsibilities on you is oppressing you, and so the most base thing you can do is narcissistically be a hedonist for your own ends and fuck family and restraint and fucking making necessary sacrifices for things that matter and shit. That kind of change only would occur to someone who was high on social justice and or other neo-Hegelian subvert my expectations bullshit. Never mind that sometimes, and again, I am by no means a traditionalist. I rail against traditionalism as much, if not more, than I do social justice. It's just that social justice happens to be a more prevalent problem at the moment. But sometimes norms are there because of complacency and should be railed against for being essentially institutional colossuses. But sometimes the thing that is normal or becomes normal because it has merit to it and because it's intuitively and rationally straightforward and is, by all accounts, at least partially the correct answer. And here's another thing that I'd love to jam down the throats of every social justice educated art school hack in today's day and age. If you can't successfully create something as good as the straightforward answer, then you shouldn't fuck around with subverting expectations. If you can't live up to expectations, then you sure as shit don't have the chutzpah to go around subverting them. Once you understand why um once you understand why some things make intuitive and rational and straightforward sense, then you can sort of add layers to it or add dimensions to it. But until you at least cross that starting line of competently administering the straightforward answer, all this subverting my expectations deconstructive crap is only going to cripple you and make everything you touch shit. Moving on.
Okay, Giant Turtle left wants everyone to be an atomized individual, except where they want collectivism in institutions because what is consistency, seeing any bonds or categories except maybe those where the individuals are interchangeable as restricting freedom and oppressive.
Yeah, it's hilarious because they want atomization in everywhere where atomization is crippling, but never in any of the ways that I actually consider atomization to be in some ways a good thing, i.e., in the name of liberty and irreverence. They want no liberty and no irreverence, but they want all the negative things about atomization because they consider those negatives to be positive and those positives to be negative. God damn it. They consider you to be a reactionary if you're atomized in the ways they don't like, but they consider you to be a tradcon fascist if you're not atomized in all the ways they insist you be.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Okay. Oh, I heard they did shit like make Pleakley the villain, make Jumba and Stitch not that evil, and got rid of Gaboo? No,
Down to
gone to. Sorry, it's. I think he might have. Uh,
misspelled or autocorrect fucked them.
and also Cobra Bubbles.
Yeah, they. Oh God. Speaking of fucking around with what was perfectly adequate three-dimensional world building, instead of doing what made perfect sense in the original, which was make him a actual social worker that just happened to have a past or maybe used being a social worker as a cover for being a Men in Black style secret agent, they dropped the social worker angle altogether and made him just a Men in Black stereotype. And instead of making him a three-dimensional character who was sympathetic to Lilo and Nani's predicament, um, and actually ended up kind of being the MVP of the movie because it was his Men in Black credentials that ended up kind of saving their asses at the end. They got rid of all of that and just made him a stereotypical Men in Black, but also a remarkably unlikable and incompetent stereotypical Man in Black who was basically the enemy. They didn't make Pleakley the bad guy. They did make Jumba the bad guy though, which I guess you could argue is more straightforward than the original because Jumba was an evil scientist in the original. But here's the thing. He was one of those comedically over the top villain characters like Doofenshmirtz or Draken in the original, where he essentially treated evil like we would treat the concept of being edgy, and he realized that he didn't have to be malevolent in order to tinker with his evil science shit, and also was a much more three-dimensional character in the original who was able to realistically be convinced to go, oh, my creation wants a life of his own. I'm going to see to it that he gets it. And actually, these humans aren't actually all that bad. And yeah, they didn't make Pleakley the bad guy, but they did make Jumba the bad guy though, and completely get rid of anything resembling like a three-dimensional character for him, and they also utterly crippled most of the banter between Jumba and Pleakley on that basis, because a lot of the, for lack of a better word, obviously it doesn't apply 1-to-1 because not a human character, but a lot of the humanization and banter and shit that made Jumba turn from evil to less evil more believable was established in Jumba and Pleakley's banter with each other, and they just didn't do that for the most part. Also, Gone is Pleakley's human fanboyism, pretty much. He's just a generic intergalactic government stooge now. All of his likable geek credentials and like geek about humanity and Earth in particular. No, it's just gone. He's just this. They kind of blended Pleakley and Gantu together and made Pleakley a generic intergalactic government stooge. Made Jumba never have any likable or redeemable qualities that made him go good, because he didn't go good in this one, and fucked over Cobra Bubbles entirely. And like I said, they gave Nani the "fuck my responsibilities, I'm an empowered feminist" arc to Nani.
Speaking of
Anyway,
Stone
moving
Cold,
on.
one grew up with the original movie and the spin-off TV show.
Yep, ditto.
And
Although, to be fair, I think it was more of my brother's thing. Although that was probably because my brother was a complete and utter little shit growing up, and we frequently compared him to Stitch.
can I finish my point?
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Someone who watched the original movie growing up along with the series, and also has a deep bond and connection, and also desire to take care of his family. That reboot is goddamn motherfucking insulting, and I wish it would die in a fucking fire and be forgotten for the rest of time.
Ditto entirely. It was there was so much good in the original, and so much like heart and humanity, and again, this is coming from someone who barely ever feels something resembling human emotions, but that movie made me successfully feel human emotions. And yes, it probably is due in both of our cases to the fact that we did have extremely kind of broken um you know, the classic line of "it's little and broken but still good." That very much applies to both myself and Brainstormer in many ways, which is probably why we care so much about this. But
Uh,
yeah, they completely fucked over everything about that.
Dragon Turtle, I know what you're talking about. Villain support or hero support, depending. Um, and Stitch, yeah, Stitch, multiverse hopping. I did not know he stole the Death Star and impressed Korn though. I haven't seen those ones. I know
Yeah,
about when he learned Kamehameha.
yeah. He winds up in the 40K. He winds up in the 40K universe with the Death Star that he stole from the Star Wars universe, and winds up becoming a champion of Korn. Blood for the Blood God.
Now I think of Technoblade when I hear that.
I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw this, DT. I think I sent it to you a long time ago. There is a villain support episode where they reference the Unseal the Accord from Dresden Files.
Oh, I knew they did reference the Dresden Files because they have him meet up with the Winchesters in one skit.
Don't they also have one where he gets mugged by where Voldemort gets mugged by Ebenezer McCoy?
I don't remember that one. I know Voldemort tried to kill Harry. Didn't exactly work.
No, because Dresden Files actually has something resembling a functional magic system, and that you can't just wave the wand and kill somebody in Dresden Files.
Anyway, God, we really
And
have
he,
to
and,
do
he,
this.
and even if you could, given what already happened at the end of Changes and throughout the course of Ghost Story, I'm pretty sure Harry can't die until he gets off of he can't die until he's either off of Queen Mab's leash, which I don't want him to ever do because Queen Mab should get what she wants. Um,
You're
and
not just
also I think
you're on her leash, are you?
it, hey, I deliberately and proudly and would 1,000 times over bound myself to her on purpose. Harry bumblefuck his way into it after refusing her several times. I am not a Harry Dresden style dumbass.
Anyway,
Granted, I would probably also be a much scarier version of the Winter Knight if I worked for her in that respect, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, also in terms of world building and character, I think it makes the most sense for Harry's character to be on Winter's leash because Winter opposes the outsiders, and Harry is a Starborn whose power is most effective against the outsiders. And even given the Soulfire he got from Uriel, by the way, spoilers, Brainstormer. But by the time you get to book like 12 and 13 and 14, when this shit starts mattering, you will probably have forgotten this. So
oh, dude,
I'm not.
dude,
I'm
I'm
not.
gonna forget tomorrow. To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah. But
I have
point
like
being,
minor brain
gi-
damage, so my
yeah,
memory isn't as good.
given the given the Soulfire from Uriel, even mixed with the Starborn thing and the Winter Mantle thing, I think Harry is in just about the best position he could be in at this point when it comes to being able to fuck with the outsider shit. The only thing I think would make him better
Alton?
at at this point, which I do expect will happen at some point because mentors die and mantles get passed and shit, is I'm betting that at some point, um, Ebenezer is going to die and pass the black staff to Harry, and its winter aspect from Mother Winter is going to resonate constructively with the Winter Mantle and make him even more wintry badass there. I also think that at some point Rashid, the gatekeeper's let me finish the thing and then we can move on. I also think at some point Rashid, the gatekeeper, is going to die and pass on the gatekeeper's eye to Harry, and he's probably going to link that and the Eye of Balor he got in Battlegrounds through thaumaturgy, and that's how he's going to like blast the gate shut when it comes to the big apocalyptic trilogy. Anyway, moving on.
Christ, y'all, some fucking nerds.
This is not news. This is not news. And you are not new here, so you should know this by now. I also wonder if Harry's gonna wind up taking Namshiel's coin from Marcone and getting further amped that way. I can see that happening. Anyway, moving on.
There are times I wish we really were in the same room so I could slap you.
I know. And when we meet up in real life, I will accept the like hours long beating you're going to end up giving me for all of the shit that you have stored up. Although I will bite you just so you're aware. I'm not going to sit there passively and let you do it. I will attempt to rip out your throat because I have wintry obligations that must be maintained. Damn it.
Can we continue with the fucking article, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Made such a big deal about it earlier.
Yeah. Moving on.
Builds an interest not nearly as guaranteed for such an audience. Not true. It's, again, the fucking quality, which is not fucking there.
Yeah. If you want an audience of any kind, you're gonna have
just something else. We have to pay. Okay, as a Gen Z, right? We have to, like, you motherfuckers. We get drained the fuck dry by so much shit. Like, the fucking economy is goddamn fucked. I don't mean to get into this, but fuck, we have to pay like thousands of dollars for those that stay. That's why I assume most Gen Z has to stay at home, have not been able to move out.
Yeah, and the same is true for a lot of the millennials as well. Actually, basically everyone after the boomers. The boomers got to live high on the hog, and ever since the boomers, Gen X, the millennials, and Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha are all fucking paying for the
I almost
boomer short-sightedness
every
and
time
self-centeredness.
every time I go to the fucking theater, it's nearly fucking $70. I have to pay
Yeah,
for everything.
yeah,
That's not
it's grown like the cost of going to the movies is like 4 times higher ever since like COVID at least, and even then before then it was inflated
no.
all.
That's just been the standard that I've been going to for the last decade. Like, and no, that is when I have like the fucking uh, what is it? The membership to the theater, so I can get like lower charges. 70
Oh,
bucks
the like streaming, the like not streaming, the
first members thing.
yeah. I just can't think of what they're called at this particular moment. It's
That's
annoying
what
me.
it's called. That's what it's called.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, moving on.
No, I'm not done. I'm not fucking done.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. It does not. It's not the built. Okay, there is built-in interest in some stuff, but the issue is when you motherfuckers don't understand the shit you're building, you're working on, or adapting, or whatever. You fuck it up because ultimately you don't give a shit about the IP. You're making okay. More often than not, when you're when I'm sorry, this is just a whole thing I've had.
You're milking it. Yeah. You're milking it and then charging us 4 times what the good stuff used to cost for the privilege of drinking that milk, which is inevitably gone sour.
And like most of the time, they're not even adapting like the actual fucking IP. They're just having like characters or fucking
Glorified fan fiction, and I don't mean that in the sense of good fan fiction. I mean in all the stereotypically bad ways that fan fiction
no, not
implies.
it's their own original like spec script that is just rebranded with a name and some characters, but everything else is completely different.
Yeah.
Like I actually want to point this example that I found out. Brandon Sanderson, who does like the Mistborn books and worked on the Wheel of Time, right?
Yeah.
Big time fantasy writer, right?
Yeah.
He was trying to get like Mistborn, or was it it was Mistborn.
Stormlight Archives.
Stormlight, thank you. Trying to get that adapted, right? Guy came. There was someone who came in and was acting like a big fan and all that, and was gave a script or something of that, and it had nothing to do with any of the ideas or original like of the actual story, right? It was his own.
Speaking of Wheel of Time, that's it. Sorry, go ahead.
It's not Wheel of Time. I believe it was based on this. It was supposed to be based on the Mistborn thing, but to be fair, that is also because Hollywood does not respect originality often.
No.
It's very hard to break into it and very hard to like get people to take it. Like again, Corridor Digital. I know they've had some flack, but those guys decided to start their own fucking basically film business because no one in Hollywood would allow them to produce their own thing unless it was constantly redrafted, reworked to fit the business model of what they want a movie, to the point where it's not even what they originally wanted to make.
Or the quote unquote artistic standards of fucking academia. Because if it's not corporate pandering they're doing, it's art house pandering they're doing.
Yeah, it's just like fucking. Sorry, Dredge. I just saw your comments. In a way, the boomers even benefited at the silent generation's expense. They are one of the most selfish generations within memory, or at least sharpest spikes in the slow generational rise of selfishness. I don't remember who coined the term, but they like to skin and suit ideas where they sometimes only have the name in the right genre, and it's only to use the IP to draw in audiences and get studios to approve.
And frequently it's not even the right genre. Frequently they'll just straight overhaul the entire bastarding thing and expect it to be successful based on a name alone. Like in name only, unironically.
Yeah, it's God. Resident Evil was a big one.
Yep.
To be fair, and I did create from last year. I did create a whole George Romero Resident Evil videos that gave information on that. He did change some things, but I still believe it kept within line, major things, but kept within line of the whole basis of Resident Evil.
And on the topic of the article, on the topic of things that would appeal like a motherfucker to the young male and teenage male audience, I've been saying this for years, but I will say it again for clarity's sake. Like, think of DT knows a bunch of these because I've sent them to him, and you know a bunch of these because I've sent them to you as well, Brainstormer. Imagine what they could do with all the urban fantasy pulp noir series that there are, which basically, to put it in terms that Hollywood would like, which is an elevator pitch form, take the magical side of the superhero genre, like your Black Adams, your Doctor Stranges, and so on, and combine it with John Wick and all the pseudo John Wicks. That's basically what a Dresden Files adaptation would be, or a Sandman Slim by Richard Cowdery adaptation would be, or a Daniel Faust by Craig Schaefer adaptation would be. There's so many of these urban fantasy noir series, and they've also already seen that this type of movie can work even outside of the aforementioned elevator pitch that I said, the Doctor Strange meets John Wick thing. There's also movies like Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. There's movies like Angel Heart. There's movies like The Ninth Gate. All these movies already exist to some degree, then there are so many other. Sorry, go ahead.
There's an example that came to mind that I'm not sure if it counts technically. I don't know if anyone's seen this movie, Dead Thomas.
You mean Odd Thomas?
Odd Thomas, yeah. Sorry.
I have seen it. It's in my watch later on Tubi, but I haven't watched it all the way through yet. But yeah, there are movies like that already kind of act as a proof of concept, and then like I say, if you want an elevator pitch, take something like Doctor Strange, cross it with the John Wick or pseudo John Wick franchises, and you have most of the work for an urban fantasy noir adaptation done, and that would massively appeal to men in the same way that the superhero genre and the John Wick style action movie do. And combining them would probably even make them more likable, especially given that a lot of these have already established fan bases. Again, thinking of Dresden Files, thinking of Sandman Slim, thinking of Daniel Faust, thinking of Eric Carter by Stephen Blackmore, thinking of the Falstaff universe, the universe that features Joe Mack and Spell Salt and Steel and
Hey Don.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Obviously, it's just again.
Yeah, but point being, if you wanted to find a new IP that already had an already established fan base, or a new kind of IP that would work in the like boxes that Hollywood loves to do, which is they like having things that you can elevator pitch as a combination of two other things. Take all of those urban fantasy pulp noirs and do them up like Doctor Strange meets John Wick style, and then boom. But of course, not in today's day and age, because in today's day and age, a bunch of people would be annoyed because Jim Butcher occasionally describes characters as beautiful, and we hate my beauty standard. Derp. Like people who are like novel reviewers unironically say that shit. They unironically chastise Jim Butcher for portraying female characters as beautiful, and it fucking infuriates me. Anyway, moving on.
All right. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna probably have to skip both articles.
Yeah, we might just have to make this one a solo article stream, because this article wound up creating a lot of worthwhile sidebars.
Okay, let me start. Building interest is not nearly as guaranteed for such an audience, which propelled Warner Brothers a Minecraft movie to nearly $1 billion haul. Okay, I want to point out the Minecraft movie, right? That was fucking horrible. I haven't watched it, but I remember seeing the trailer for it. I don't think we covered it here, obviously.
I'll send you Little Platoon's breakdown of it. He does a really good job of explaining exactly how awful it is, and more importantly, why. That's why I like Little Platoon. Even when I disagree with him on stuff, which does happen, I understand. Like, he goes into detail about why he thinks what he thinks, even if I disagree with what he thinks.
To be fair, I have seen there are Minecraft animations on YouTube that are far better and could have worked. I think again, it's just like it doesn't understand the IP of Minecraft. Granted, Minecraft is a very like loose kind of thing because it doesn't really have like, like it's not really like a story.
It doesn't really have a plot or a world in and of itself. You have to kind of make one.
It does have a world. It has stuff in the base nature of it, but
to make it into a 3-act like narrative structure is going to be difficult. You'd have to
honestly
do a lot of work.
I don't even think that. I think the issue because the Lego movie.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's what we were saying earlier of if they just did the intuitively like straightforward thing and
Like,
made the story make logical sense, the work would already be half done for them. They
just to bring up a few things. One, someone actually did like a Minecraft, like a I can't remember the YouTuber's name. It's I believe it's Natrix is her name. Was like an artist, does like animations on YouTube. Actually did a really interesting like take on Velma, like her own little version of it as a response to it.
And I don't blame her, because one thing we say all the time is how annoying it is when they have something that could have worked and they just don't let it work.
I could actually.
Velma's another example of that. Of it could have easily worked with all the raw materials they had. They just didn't bother.
When October comes around, I will get that video and we will watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But she did a totally different Minecraft trailer, I believe is the title, or a different Minecraft movie trailer, which made it into like a high fantasy epic tale. Fantastic art, by the way.
Which, here's another example of how like the deconstructive bullshit has fucked everything over. Stop making things meta. Unless there's a compelling reason to make things meta. Stop meta-ing.
Right.
Like, in general.
And there's also like people who have used the medium of Minecraft to make interesting stories. Like there's some role play series that did with like SCP, other stuff like that.
Right, but like speaking of things that were allegedly really popular among the Zoomer types, why the fuck did the Dungeons and Dragons movie from a couple of years ago that was basically medieval Guardians of the Galaxy, why was that a comedy? Why couldn't you have told an actual high fantasy story in the world and using the like IP of Dungeons and Dragons? I know like comedic D&D things like Critical Role have become very popular and shit, but why couldn't you have just made a like Lord of the Rings style high epic fan, or like kind of what the Warcraft movie did? Because I will maintain this: the Warcraft movie was really actually good. It's just it didn't, it was a little bit too inside the IP and didn't really think much of what the casual audience would think about it. But that's
Um,
a lot more likable, at least in my opinion, than what the fuck they did with Dungeons and Dragons, where they gave it like a Guardians of the Galaxy comedic meta makeover bullshit.
um, sorry, I still want to keep on the Minecraft thing because again, there are like plenty of examples I know that are better than what was given.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, someone's actually doing like okay, because Minecraft Telltale like a decade or so ago, I believe, did a Minecraft story mode. Wasn't as well received as I believe people uh, wasn't well received, but someone like last year I had seen a trailer where someone was kind of remaking it, making like kind of a movie or maybe a mini series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and it looked really good. Like again, it was fully animated. Like it wasn't that weird pseudo uncanny whatever with the actual
Mm-hmm.
movie. And also, and I think I made reference to this before a few years ago when it was coming out. There was a
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft fantasy animation called Songs of War that is fantastic.
Right, I think I did hear about that. Yeah,
I think I sent you it. Uh,
you may have done actually. Yeah.
I haven't watched it. No, no, actually, gonna I'm gonna retract that because I'm aware of the hypocrisy there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. Oh, that's where. Okay, I didn't know that's where it came from. All right. um, but yeah. Actually, I written this on Reddit when someone asked how would you do the Minecraft movie. I didn't have a basis for a story, mind you, but
Mm-hmm.
I would have, obviously like just like the technical aspects of it. Like one thing kind of be based off the Lego movie, like in terms of like the storytelling, the writing, and
Yeah, because Lego Movie was fucking genius, comparatively speaking.
yeah, and to be fair, Minecraft has kind of this has a similar like kind of I guess
It has potential. Another template for a Minecraft movie would have been the Jumanji sequels. If anybody remembers those,
who
like
doesn't.
take the Jumanji sequels, combine them with the Lego Movie, and make obviously Minecraft the central IP, and there your job is pretty much done.
So what I was gonna say, um, well, I was gonna say like Minecraft and Lego in terms of the IP wise, it does actually kind of have a similar theming of
Yeah,
create.
in terms of like creativity and raw imagination and building stuff from the ground up and what have you. And what kills me is the movie we have already tried to do those themes. That it just didn't like it gave lip service to those ideas, but it didn't actually tie those ideas to anything.
Yeah, that's
Even
actually
even
pretty.
though even though Minecraft, like Lego, is one of the easiest movies to do the like creative outsider inspiration shit.
Yeah, Drenchel, you're right. Drenchel, Minecraft is the internet Lego.
Yeah, unironically, and you can tell someone in the fucking the corporate citadel of awful knew that because they did give lip service to the like Lego movie style theming of, creative outsiders are put upon, but their creativity is good. But the movie, ironically, didn't actually. It didn't. You can tell it. You can tell it. Okay, this is a bit of a sidebar, but there's this thing I've noticed whenever they portray characters as being intelligent. Um, you can tell when a movie is actually written by intelligent people because there's actually a logic to how their intelligence is useful in the movie or in the story. But when a story that centers on intelligence is written by unintelligent people, they basically just treat they basically just treat intelligence like a Deus Ex Machina, and the Minecraft movie does that with creativity. It treats creativity as this magical. I I'm not I'm not using that word because magic has a definition and mechanics and shit, and you guys know my hangups on that. But it uses creativity like a Deus Ex Machina because the people involved in the making of the movie don't know what creativity is. They just know it's a thing that other people have that seems like a Deus Ex Machina or what gets called quote unquote magic by hacks who don't know the definition of things. But yeah, and in the Minecraft movie, creativity and intelligence are basically interchangeable, which I'm mostly fine with because for all intents and purposes, creativity and intelligence can be very, very similar. But it uses them in that way of this is what a stupid person must think intelligence is, or this is what a completely uncreative person must think creativity is, because it doesn't work by any sort of logic. It works by somebody is just the special and therefore poof. As if by magic TM according to the hack hipster definition, which I hate.
Sorry. Okay. Miraculous instead of magical?
Yeah, even then that's a bit, but yeah, again, Deus Ex Machina, I think, is the best way of putting it, because that doesn't crap all over miracles or magic. Yeah, but they treat creativity like this, like a MacGuffin, and they treat intelligence like a MacGuffin that other people have, and therefore it doesn't have to abide by any rules or logic. Which is how you can tell when allegedly intelligent characters are written by absolutely unintelligible cretins, and creative characters are written by desperately uncreative cretins. The closer that creativity or intelligence is to just being a Deus Ex Machina, the lower the creativity or intelligence the people writing the movie or show or story tend to be.
Anyway, okay. Deus Ex Machina needs to be some sort of sci-fi horror movie. God from the Machine.
I mean, there is already a movie called Ex Machina, which is kind of what you just said.
Maybe okay. I'm not sure who owns the rights to this specifically, but what about that story from Isaac Asimov about that machine that becomes God?
The Last Question.
Yes.
My favorite Asimov story.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, the Last Question is just, it's so good, guys. It's so it's so short too. It's a novella. It's like fewer than 100 pages, I want to say, but god damn it, it's so good. Moving on.
Yeah. Like a horror adaptation of that.
See, but that
okay, maybe not. Actually, not a horror adaptation. But
yeah, because that's the thing. Most sci-fi stories with an AI god go the dystopic, like Am from I Have No Mouth and I'm a Scream route.
Actually, one
of the things that makes The Last Question so innovative as compared to, and I'm not saying that there should be no stories about that. There definitely should be. It's just that there have been, and there's very little innovative to say about the dystopian AI god. One of the things that makes the last question so um, good is it shows an AI god that actually wants to be benevolent, and ultimately the story is mostly about um, the the AI in question is asked a question and it responds insufficient data for meaningful answer. And so kind of a subplot through the novella is the AI god in question becoming more and more powerful computatively until it finally answers the question. And then at the end of the story, spoilers, the the AI god is left with a choice of either it can let the universe end, or it can give the universe a jump start and essentially create a new one from scratch. And it ends with the AI uttering the phrase "Let there be light," and then a new Big Bang happening.
Moving
Yeah, moving on.
on. Okay. Again, after we're finished with this, I think we should just go to trailers.
Yep.
Um, that was a game Gen Z played as very small kids. Not to mention the euphoric viral moments it created for young men filming key moments inside multiplexes and sharing them on platforms like TikTok. See also Universal Pictures' Gentle Minions trend in 2022 when Gen Z bros packed theaters in suits and ties for Minions, The Rise of Gru. Okay, that's the first time I'm hearing of it.
I knew that happened, but I don't think I don't think to quote or to paraphrase a meme from Princess Bride, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Because here's the thing. Both of those, the chicken jockey thing from Minecraft and the Gentle Minions thing, are in some sense a way of Gen Z mocking corporate attempts to pander to them. A, a more sincere version of what I think you want this to be is Barbenheimer and how big Barbie was. Um, but yeah, in both the case of Chicken Jockey and the case of Gentle Minions, that was mostly Gen Z men mocking um, corporations to their face for trying to pander to them in the first place. Same thing happened with the It's Morbin Time re-released Morbius strategy. That was not a sincere attempt by Gen Z to like engage with corporations. It was an attempt to get them to mock, or it was an attempt to troll corporations to their face. And corporations being corporations and institutions being institutions, the corporations were too stupid to realize they were being trolled. Moving on, though.
All right. As it stands, Disney is in line with Sony Pictures and Paramount in its market share for Gen Z, 10% of ticket buyers in 2024. That's 2 points above Universal and 2 points below Warner's, but Disney is not leaving the job of courting Gen Z entirely up to the film group. Concurrent to Greenbaum's hire, the corporation bought a 1.5 million equity stake in gaming juggernaut Fortnite. God damn it! Which will incorporate Disney's iconic staple of characters. Two sources say Disney does not, however, enjoy movie rights to Fortnite itself. Good. Which would seem a no-brainer in luring Gen Z to theaters. No, it would not.
Again, you don't seem to notice the difference between Gen Z mocking your asses and Gen Z genuinely creating an icon. But again, the closest thing to that is probably the Barbenheimer thing. But most of these, like both in the case of Minecraft and to the case of the Gentle Minions thing, that's not them genuinely being convinced by your pandering. That's them mocking you for pandering to them. You're just not. this is the other thing. If you're going to try and court specific audiences, which again, as we mentioned earlier, is a stupid idea, you should try to make something as universally appealing as you can and let the thing stand on its own merit where possible. But assuming you feel the need to pander to specific audiences, it would be massively helpful if you made a genuine attempt to understand the people you're attempting to pander to, and B, when you make a genuine attempt to understand the people you're attempting to pander to, listen to them when they tell you things instead of reframing and recontextualizing and hyper intellectualizing and abstractifying everything they tell you. Because that's the biggest problem. That's how we get shit like the Rewriting Ripley article. Because rather than take people at their word when they tell you why they do things, these pseudo-intellectual hacks in their neo-Hegelian critical theory have to recontextualize, re-abstractify, and extrude everything they're told into some bastardized quasi-dystopian moralistic hackery instead of just taking people at their word. Actually, that's good advice for the male audience in general as well. It goes back to that thing I was saying about how you need to stop calling everything that focuses on in-universe logic, in-universe characterization, or in-universe likability and entertainment value. You need to stop calling that shit media illiterate. Because one thing that is fairly constant among the male psyche as compared to the female psyche is the male psyche tends to take things as read, i.e., being straightforward and literal with things. It's the female psyche that tends to wrap things up in a bunch of emotional and abstract woo. So, good advice for dealing with men in general is stop demonizing the idea of taking things as read. Stop demonizing things being straightforward or taken as straightforward. You need to get out of this abstract, moral, emotional woo you're addicted to. Go back the way you came and go back to the adage of the customer is always right in matters of taste. And when people tell you who they are and what they think, for the most part, believe them, you twats. Be straightforward. That is more appealing to the masculine psyche in general. And I stress the masculine psyche because there are, of course, masculinely minded women as well. But masculine people in general tend to be more straightforward and less emotional, moral, or abstract about shit. Moving on.
Yes, Disney was the unrefuted king of the box office last year. It will win again this year with two films potentially crossing the 1 billion mark. Avatar: Fire and Ash and Zootopia 2.
I'm glad that Zootopia got a sequel because it genuinely deserves one.
Yeah.
It flummoxes me. It flummoxes me that people are still trying to act like James Cameron's Avatar has contributed a goddamn thing to anything other than being a VFX showcase. And even then, it's not very good at that because it doesn't actually do anything with those resources other than photorealistic naturalism, which as I've said many times over, nerfs the shit out of the Avatar franchise. The James Cameron's Avatar franchise. In fact, you'd be better. Hollywood would be better off doing a massively big, take the money you were going to spend on James Cameron's Avatar and do actual Avatar movies. That would actually be a useful adaptation, and it would probably make VFX. It would work as a VFX showcase as well as actually showcasing what you can do with those VFX while you're at it. Moving on.
All right. 4 movies from 4 Disney labels have grossed more than $1 billion in the past 60 months. months. No other studio has had one in that time frame, so it's staggering that two rival studios and dealmakers Disney is looking to blaze new trails after years of being the envy of the town, having counted for so long on sure things from the worlds of Iron Man and the Jedi.
Well, because this is the thing, my darlings. You expected the IP to be a magic band-aid. You expected that you could get away with anything as long as it had a Marvel or Star Wars label on it. But the things that people liked about Marvel and Star Wars are about the substance of what those things are and were. You can't just do something in name only and expect it to magically work because of inertia or because of we put the right label on it. If you want people to stick with existing IPs, which you should, especially when you invest so heavily in existing IPs, you have to, much like the audience that I just said, you have to actually understand your audience and listen to them when they tell you shit. In addition, if you want IPs to continually be successful, you have to understand what made them likable, interesting, engaging, or like enthralling to begin with. Figure out what made those IPs work. And once you figure out what made those IPs work, more often than not, you will wind up with them mostly remaining successful. But if you act with this elitist ivory tower attitude of, oh, the plebs are so stupid, they'll go see anything as long as it has a Marvel or Star Wars label on it, that condescending attitude of we are better than the plebs, in both terms of understanding your audience and understanding the IPs your audience like, that axiom in and of itself is the problem. You can't just change everything about something and expect it to still work because it has the same label on it. You have to actually understand what was it that made Star Wars, Marvel, Disney itself likable to begin with. And once you figure that out, you have to not treat them as though the audience are stupid or that the IPs are interchangeable from each other. The things that make one IP successful are not the things that make other IPs successful. You have to understand them as unique entities, and you have to understand your audience as a unique and valid entity. Moving on.
Okay. Uh, Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed as much in a quarterly earnings call this month, saying his film group won't favor existing IP over original material. The priority, Iger said, is to put out great movies. Motherfucker, that should have been the base from the
Yeah,
get-go.
yeah. Welcome to the starting line. It's taken you a dozen years to get here, Bob. But the fact that that is some revelation is the fucking problem. Again, the thing of you listening to elitist art school hipster hacks and acting as though the audience are too stupid or invalid to give a shit as long as it has the right name on it, or the IP's actual like internal merits don't matter. We don't need to bother to understand the things we're adapting. That fucking condescending attitude is exactly why you ended up here in the fucking first place. Moving on.
All right. Walt Disney Studios declined to provide comment for this story. Much has been written about the narrowing audience for superhero movies. The performance of Marvel's latest release, Fantastic Four: First Steps, which aimed to launch yet another superhero franchise led by Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby, failed to meet expectations. That's despite good reviews, a promising opening weekend, and the full attention of Marvel's Scott Sar, Kevin Feige. Star Wars has not produced a film in 7 years. A big screen adaptation of Disney Plus hit The Mandalorian is coming next year. I didn't know that one.
With regards to the superhero genre, here's the thing. It's a little bit like, actually no, it's kind of the opposite of The Boy Who Cried Wolf. It's The Boy Who Cried Good movie. People have been told over and over again that something like Captain Marvel or She-Hulk or Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the best thing since sliced bread, and only evil idiots have a problem with it. So now, even when something is good, like Daredevil Born Again, Agatha All Along, or Fantastic Four, people don't believe you because you lied to a bunch of them, and you actively demonized the other portion of them, the people who told you this is this is significantly qualitatively worse than the things we used to like people who were saying that She-Hulk was another piece of shit, or Velma was another piece of shit, or The Acolyte was another piece of shit. Instead of listening to them and course correcting accordingly, you listen to the Social Justice Party, the feminists, the intersectionalists, the neo-Hegelians, and so on, who said to you, "Oh, don't worry about those guys. Those are just a loud minority. Those are just toxic fans. Those are just incels. Those are just man babies. Those are just man children, etc., ad nauseum." You kept listening to the people telling you, don't listen to the people who were telling you to course correct. Listen to us. We are the truth and the way and the light and the morality. And after a dozen years of that shit, even the good stuff, even stuff like Agatha, even stuff like Werewolf by Night, even stuff like Daredevil Born Again, even stuff like Fantastic Four, which, by the way, I agree with you, Fantastic Four was genuinely good, just like Agatha was genuinely good, no matter what the angry EFAP crowd says. Like, because you've cried the opposite of Wolf so many times, and people have wound up metaphorically getting mauled by the like. Again, to put it in the context of the full metaphor, instead of the boy who cried wolf, what you have been doing for the last dozen years is you've been crying, "Don't worry about that wolf, it's just a husky puppy," so many times, and people have been metaphorically eaten by wolves so many times that it doesn't matter that the one time you say this isn't a wolf when it actually isn't a wolf, because people have been metaphorically devoured by wolves so often that people don't trust you being an accurate reporter of what is or is not a wolf. And unfortunately, that means a lot of good stuff that should honestly be more well regarded than it is, like Agatha, like Werewolf by Night, like Daredevil, like Fantastic Four. A lot of the good stuff that actually deserves a second or third chance doesn't get one because you guys fucked over She-Hulk, The Acolyte, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and company so hard that nobody trusts you to be an arbiter of what quality is anymore. And you paid off so many stooge reviewers and journalists that nobody trusts their opinions either, even when they're being genuinely honest for once.
Moving on.
Yep, moving on.
Okay. On top, one top film executive at a Disney rival says every studio should be looking for originals as sequels continue to exhaust the culture. I mean,
no, it's not sequels and reboots. It's the fact that those sequels and reboots were shit. A good reboot is not a problem. A good sequel is not a problem. It's when those sequels or those reboots shit all over the core idea of the original and or are utter dog shit that is the problem. I'm all for original IPs too, but originality isn't the panacea either. If all you're gonna do with those original IPs is run them into the fucking ground or run them into the fucking social justice academia just like you did with all the pre-established IPs, you will never learn. You have to get a standard for merit, and you have to tell the people who tell you that meritocracy is just a harmful social construct to go fuck themselves in no uncertain terms, or you will never learn this. And by the way, in a healthy Hollywood, in a world where sequels and reboots aren't utter shit, people don't mind sequels and reboots. That's why people started making sequels and reboots in the first place, because some of those reboots and some of those sequels actually were worthwhile contributions to the culture. It's not that sequels and reboots are inherently bad or something. It's that the sequels and remakes you people have made of your own volition are shit. Moving on.
Uh, even if they're packing in moviegoers in the short term. I never thought I'd say it. The exact muses about the Magic Kingdom's boy troubles, despite its gem box of iconic IP, but it looks like Disney is going to have to start trying.
Yeah, no shit. You should have been trying the whole way through. I don't know why you ever stopped trying post Infinity War and post Force Awakens. I don't know why you stopped giving a shit. The fact, well, actually no, I know a significant portion of the reason why you stopped giving a shit, which is the social justice twats showed up and told you, hey, you know those nerdy boys that you don't really like and that you really hate pandering to? We can swap those boys for we can swap those nerdy incel boys for hipster girls and you'll make even more money. And because frankly of cultural misandry, and yes, I think the cultural misandry is actually a factor, because like I opened with, I think if social justice's decade at the like apex of society demonstrated anything, it's that people don't want men and boys generally. They need men and boys, or at least they used to understand that they needed men and boys, but they always secretly held them in contempt, even while providing them with what they wanted, because they genuinely would. And there's actual like study-based evidence that suggests this, prefer women to men in almost all cases. Like there's actually studies that show that women have an in-group preference, meaning that they would rather spend time around other women, but that men also apparently have an out-group preference, meaning that whether it's a woman or a man, everybody would rather spend time with women than men, leaving no one to prefer the company of men, apparently. Except gay guys, and even gay guys apparently have a gynocentric bias, which is why so many of them bought the feminist bullshit hook, line, and sinker. Moving on.
Give me one sec. Okay, I'm just setting up the trailer.
Yep.
Okay. To continue the metaphor, we now see a demonization of all canines just because of the rabid wood apologia. What?
Ra- I think he means rabid wolf apologia there.
Oh. Um, but we only need new things, and it would all be better. In fact, we need new genres and mediums, and where are flying cars? I,
I assume that you're being sarcastic when you say IDT, because we've had this discussion many times before. But yeah, I agree. The obsession with new equals good is also a problem. I'm not saying that you can't have new IPs, but the idea that we owe no like fealty or no duty of care to pre-established IPs not being fucked to death annoys the shit out of me.
um, I think it's that the company used to have nerds in it, but then lost them in favor for a mix of suits, hipster girls, and HR hags.
Well, that probably. I mean, Disney himself was very much a nerd by 1920s, 30 standards, and maybe that's part of why the mainstreamification of things is so inherently shit now. Because I maintain going mainstream, much like the point I was making earlier about sequels and reboots not being inherently a bad thing. I don't think going mainstream is bad because so many things about a decade ago went mainstream that weren't, and for about a decade they functioned fine. Like think about 2013 Stephen Moffat era Doctor Who, um, or Warhammer back when Arch was still allowed to use the name Arch Warhammer and so on. Back then, or at least a little bit before then, things could go mainstream, and the merits of the thing are what turned or what got the mainstream to finally give it a chance. But the fact that something becomes mainstream also makes it a target for ideological twats and cynical opportunists who think they can just auto succeed based on essentially inertia. And as we saw, no, it turns out that the nerds weren't just right about the IPs that they liked, but they were also right in the ways that they liked them, i.e., caring about it. It does essentially boil back down to this: caring about things like in-universe logic, consistent characterization, and continuity does matter, whether suits or hipsterellas like it or not. And you can't actually just swap every nerdy boy for a hipster girl and expect the same results. Also, given the canine metaphor, I must, of course, at this point, extol the virtues of feline schism, because feline schism forever.
All right. Okay. Only thing you said was right or wrong, Dalton. I think you give the feminist angle specifically too much credit. The Hydra has many heads and is in a circle jerk with the far right, though for a long time that was more than more the left trying to resuscitate its boogeyman. Uh,
I think the Hydra's many heads are more related than not, is the thing. Just like the dehumanizing nature of traditional conservatism, and the misandrist nature of intersectional feminism are both um, rooted in gynocentrism and the general hatred / indifference to men. Both they wind up at completely opposite corners, but they agree on the fundamental premise of gynocentrism. Good, men are only valuable based on what they do and or what they've done for us lately. Thing.
Sorry. Okay. I missed this earlier, but I found it funny, so I'm saying it again. I do like the memes people made about the species army colonel now has an alien cat girlfriend. Funny. So that's the one thing the new Avatar movie gave us.
There are plenty of IPs that did that before and since Avatar. I don't think James Cameron has a monopoly on that either. Especially because when James Cameron's Avatar does it, it's really just a reskin of the colonialist falling in love with the noble savage priestess trope. It's just John Smith and Pocahontas from the '90s movie with a blue alien makeover.
All right.
Plus, cat girls are an idea whose time has come, whether mainstream society likes it or not. Unfortunately, the aforementioned weaponized autism and glory thereof of the internet is a thing.
Okay. Sorry. All right. So trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Both are mine because Dalton loves to torture us, so he always finds articles to do so. And
I do what I'm good at, and what I'm good at is finding shit that needs to be beaten to a pulp. What Brainstormer is good at is being the optimistic one between us generally. Although
well,
there have been times where we've switched sides, and it's always weird when that happens.
yeah, it really is. Granted, this one I wouldn't really call positive. The next one kind of is, which
Mhm.
actually is also related to the first article we did. So, or
Yeah.
the article we did,
Mhm.
but we're not there yet. This is the
And
official
we will
trailer.
get back to the ones we moved from this week next week because, god damn it, it's taking too long to get to them.
Again, I will mostly blame us for that because we got sidetracked way too often.
To be fair, there was more ammunition in that Boy Trouble article than there's been in a lot of articles recently. So
Hey, Gentle, I'm not gonna judge you, but you keep bringing up like Fox and Wolf Girls and stuff.
oh he knows. I have pointed out to him that someday someone is gonna find a way of combining kitsune and dragons, and he's just going to die of glee when it happens.
Okay, as long as he's aware of it.
Yeah, he is more than he has been made more than aware of his kitsune and dragonkin fixations.
Okay, so uh, yeah, this is the official trailer for Marvel Zombies, which is spin off from that one episode in What If. I believe someone pointed out that the music in this is made by Baby Metal.
Hmm.
I've never heard of that band, so
Interesting. Zombie banana. Why Marvel Zombies though for this song? That it it doesn't really fit.
I think I'd have to look up the name for it, but also
Like
the intensity in it's different from like any other Marvel trailer.
like I would have saved a song like this for like speaking of like what if spin-off, like doing a like Marvel animated project in the style of an anime would be something where I would more likely see this song coming up. And they could speaking of that, if they ever do like an animated Marvel project that's like Marvel from like an anime style perspective, they could probably get Hi Hi Puffy Amiyumi, the guys that did or rather girls that did the uh the Teen Titans theme back in the day. Please take these ideas and use them, Disney. I want, like, as much as I hate the stupid things you do, I want you to succeed by stopping doing those stupid things. So if I have to spoon feed you all my ideas in order to make that happen, I will gladly do so. Just stop making shit. projects, please.
I think I should point out that they made reference that this is rated TVMA, which gratuitous violence and gore. Well, I wouldn't say gratuitous, obviously, but
I mean, it's a zombie thing, so I would imagine it would at least be that dark. Honestly, I think they could have gone further.
oh god, are they going to make a VTuber superhero with modern Marvel writers?
Oh dear, DT.
Sorry, I should have read the comment before that. They also do sometimes just choose songs/bands for name recognition or backroom deals, like what's popular anime and idol groups.
It just like save this for an actual like Marvel take on anime or anime take on Marvel. That which you could do. Like hell, guy who gave us My Hero Academia would probably pay you for the privilege of doing a anime take on the Marvel universe.
He actually did do some promo art back when Endgame was coming out.
Yeah, so like it's not like doing a MCU or Marvel universe anime wouldn't be a good idea and couldn't work. Frankly, I think the entire comic book industry would probably at this point benefit from, in the same way that the 80s and 90s had a British invasion, the 2020s and 2030s could benefit from a Japanese invasion. Of course, I've been saying that since like the mid 2010s, but I'm gonna keep saying it until somebody listens. Japanese invasion when?
Actually, instead, probably would just pull a Hail Lobster, but instead of Peterson, it's Kirsch or Pippa. Or at least it's
or Nux,
or
probably.
Smug.
Yep. It's disturbing how plausible that seems. Like doing a High Lobster, but with Nux instead of Peterson this time. Oh fuck me.
All right.
Yep.
A virus infecting your system! All the Avengers are dead. And they're coming for us.
All right, we got a world to save.
I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, apart from the aforesaid, why waste this music on something this instead of saving it for something more appropriate? Zombie Banana.
And no, Dawn, they are not all Fox YouTubers. The one that isn't is the one I don't watch, but it's not my fault. Different content.
So just to be clear, you are continually telling on yourself there, DC. I'm not. And by the way, just for the record, I am not judging you. I engage in plenty of monster fucker things on the side too. Like you should see my character AI. You should see my character AI chat list.
No.
There's literally a teen hunk heartthrob version of Frankenstein's monster that I enjoy talking to. So to borrow another quote from Rick and Morty, now we're all accountable. But yeah, don't feel shame for your kitsune/dragon kin fixation, DT. It's just it's just part of your drinking game, man.
To answer your question, Tarantula, I don't think so, because I think this is supposed to take place in the same universe as the What If episode, which was a quantum virus, and they just are. They can still use their powers and stuff, but it doesn't look like they have like the same intelligence except for
And-
maybe Wanda, but that's because of her magic, sort of.
They didn't really show her being intelligent anyway. They just showed her being angry, so I'm not even sure about that. But yeah, I don't think they really didn't think much about the world building when they did that quantum zombie virus episode, DT. In the original Marvel Zombie storyline, they ended up tying it in with Evil Dead of all things because Ash showed up in something, but that's neither here nor there.
Wait, oh, hey, you watch Ember Paradox? I watch it too. Pretty good.
It's a small world after all.
Actually, like earlier before I came on here, like before I like set up everything for Dalton, for us to, I was watching a video of Ember Paradox. Huh.
Mhm.
That's weird.
It's a small world after all.
I hate that fucking song.
I know. That's why that's one of the things that makes it a good meme. Everyone hates it.
It's just really creepy when you actually watch it. Like,
And you were giving me shit for thinking little kids were creepy earlier.
no, it's just the way it's sung. None with the kids, honestly.
But it's that same like Stepford Wife positivity that makes clowns, and in my case, kids, creepy.
Again, I have no problem with clowns when they're like in the places they're supposed to be. Like, if you see a clown in the middle of the night, like in a fucking dark alley, that is when I have a problem with clowns. Well, that and also they're covered in bloods and wielding machetes. That's when I have a problem with clowns.
Yeah, I actually find the like monstrous clowns TM to be slightly more easy to put up with than actual clowns. Although I don't have a phobia or an annoyance with clowns in general. I just most of the time I just don't care about clowns. But yeah, little kids like from toddler age to about like 7, 8, 9. Little kids creep me out and annoy me simultaneously.
Oh yeah, no,
I
I know, Giant Turtle. Yeah,
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind if you could send some. Sure. I'm just kind of curious which ones you'd send because more than likely I might be already following them.
Anyway, zombie banana.
Yeah.
We should have said Twinkie for this as a Zombieland reference. Fuck it, we're changing it. Twinkie.
Namor.
Shit.
Namor being a zombie would probably be more impactful if we saw him occasionally after Wakanda Forever.
But to be fair, I also think it's really fucking terrifying when we consider how strong he was in Wakanda Forever.
Well, yeah, but that can just as easily apply to Thor, and nobody freaked out because zombie Thor was a thing. Although we didn't really get to see zombie Thor, so I assume we probably will at this point. At
Well, no,
some point in this show.
Okay, hold on, because we saw the events happening. Where Hulk was sent, Bruce was sent back to Earth. Well, the zombie invasion was kind of already happening for a long while now. Which implies the events of Infinity War were starting before Thanos got turned into a zombie.
Yeah.
So
which
Thor,
I assume we'll probably see the after effects of zombie Thanos wielding the Infinity Stones in this show.
So Thor, technically, given the events that were happening in,
he might not be zombified, at least not yet.
He would have been with the Guardians of the Galaxy, possibly,
which means the Guardians might have survived. Which, yay!
Because they're in space, it's all on Earth currently.
Well, but given the quantum realm shenanigans, I'm not sure and especially given that Zombie Wong and Zombie Strange are now a thing, and Zombie Thanos now wields the Infinity Stones, I'm willing to bet at some point the entire universe is going to get zombified, just because
Almost,
dimension shenanigans and energy amplifying shenanigans.
or just teleporting. I feel like you're
Of course, if they wanted to be a little bit more wholesome about it, they probably could have Zombie Thanos snap his fingers and undo the zombification, which would be interesting, making Thanos the hero in that case.
Yeah, because honestly, I think you and I
It'd
both.
also be especially funny given that anyone who knows Thanos from the comics knows he has a thing for death who they actually can use now, but they've introduced her in Agatha, so there's that.
Anyway, shall we? Also, Blade's in here.
They haven't even introduced canon, like main timeline Blade. Why would they introduce him here?
He's also Moon Knight.
But why?
To be fair, that was in What If, like at the end where they showed potentials.
Okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. But still, like,
It's not even the actual actor voicing him.
why? Just one, if you're gonna do that, please wait until Canon Blade has been introduced. And two, if you are gonna introduce Zombie Blade before Canon Blade, have him at least be voiced by the same actor, so there's continuity. Damn it! Like continuity is supposed to be one of the like hallmarks and like biggest selling points of the MCU. Why are they not? Oh, I hate this. I hate this so much. Zombie Banana or Twinkie, because reference
Honestly, the
Twinkie.
actor is also really amazing because one, he was in Luke Cage, right? He was Cottonmouth, or
Yeah,
I can't remember the actual character's name, but fantastic actor. He's been in so many things, and like, it really sucks because I think he really wanted to play that character.
and just to be clear, I know what I just said might seem counterintuitive given that I defended introducing the characters that hadn't been introduced to the MCU yet in the Illuminati scene on the grounds that sometimes characters will show up just to be killed. But here's the thing. The difference is that the Reed Richards or the Professor X of the Illuminati universe, of 838 universe, would at least be adjacent to what they're always like to some degree. But Zombie Blade, by definition, has to be different than Canon Blade because, he's been zombified and it's a little bit hard to get to know a character underneath.
He's not zombified here. He's with the survivors.
Okay, that makes sense given that Blade being a monster hunter is a whole thing. But I still maintain, especially given how long Blade has been in development hell, you should have at least, if you're going to introduce him early, you should have at least had his main voice actor do it. Although, to be fair, they've already broken that rule with Mr. Fantastic, so I don't even fucking know anymore. It's not like the multiverse mechanics ever, were asked to be consistent from one movie to the next. It's kind of like the time travel mechanic in Endgame, except Endgame was even worse because that was trying to keep time travel mechanics consistent in one movie. At least the multiverse saga has the excuse of these are different movies spread apart by a bit for an excuse. Still not a good excuse, but it's at least better and less egregious than the time travel from Endgame. Moving on. Twinkie.
All right. Yeah. Let me get to. Okay. Hold on. Giant Turtle. Part of me is actually more disappointed we didn't see Thanos having to team up with the good guys, losing his Infinity Stones somehow and quickly losing goons, but still badass.
That could have also been cool. Although I do kind of like the idea that Zombie Thanos uses the Infinity Stones to counter the zombie virus at the end of this series. That would be cool.
Yep. All right. But it's also using relatively minor characters or characters that haven't really been that either well respected or well renowned in the main line, like Yelena, Red Guardian, Miss Marvel, Shang-Chi. Obviously
A
Blade.
lot of those are supposed to be the new heavy hitters though. Like Yelena was supposed to be like the main character in Thunderbolts. Red Guardian, same deal. Captain Marvel, obviously they were trying to force her down our throats ever since 2019.
Miss Marvel, not Kamala Khan.
Okay, well that at least means I don't have to deal with Carol Danvers being a stone cold bitch. And although to be fair, in What If so far they have treated Captain Marvel right by having her actually have weaknesses and still framing her as being a bitch, rather than trying to frame it as though everyone else was the problem for thinking she was a bitch when she wasn't or some shit. Moving along though, Twinkie.
Honestly, I think with the sequel of Zombieland, I've heard mixed things about it.
It's not good. They should have stopped at one, or at least made a better sequel.
And there was a TV show. Granted, it didn't have anyone really.
I did not know there was a TV show. Now I will have to go and look it up at some point.
It's not good.
Fuck. That's depressing. We're only one out of 3. The first one.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think the closest to a Zombieland series that really hits the mark, for me at least, is Z Nation.
I heard good things about that. I don't think I ever watched it though.
Hey, Giant Turtle, please back me up. I hope you've seen that, or at least heard of it. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel one. That's actually good for some. It was actually made by the guys who did the Sharknado stuff and a lot of the parody movies that like copy a lot of like the big movies at the time. Asylum.
Yeah, the Asylum guys.
It's one of their...
that does not sound bad. That does sound interesting. Although me being me, I just want a zombie movie or zombie franchise where zombies are the result of necromancy of some description again. Like, it doesn't have to be voodoo. I would give you bonus points if it was at least Afro-Caribbean in derivation, but I just want zombies who aren't virus or nuke related. I want zombies that are actually necromancy derived for once. God damn it! I'm sick of rotting cannibals being called zombies, even though they're not in any meaningful sense zombies. People are way more pop culture familiar with D&D now. At a minimum, that gives you an excuse to go back to the zombie roots and go for the necromancy. Still would give you bonus points if you went with something voodoo or hoodoo related, but some version or other of necromancy would be appreciated. Just something that wasn't a virus or radiation and actually vaguely resembled the actual definition of a zombie, please. Moving on. Twinkie.
Yeah, one sec.
Make zombies necromantic again is what I'm saying.
Ghost became a zombie.
Okay, so we have Blade, and we have a zombified version of Ghost. Tell me... Actually, no, fuck it. I don't want Man-Thing in here, because the last thing he was in was Werewolf by Night, and Werewolf by Night was awesome. I don't want him besmirched by this fucking thing. It does not look good.
I kind of see how Ghost kind of became a zombie because she was affected by the quantum realm, so...
Well, yeah, honestly, it would have made sense if she were like Patient Zero at this point.
Yeah.
Like, based on the quantum virus thing they set up in in the What If episode, it would have made sense if she, rather than Janet Van Dyne, was the patient zero.
Oh, that or go hard sci-fi like with The Flood or Dead Space. To be fair, Dead Space was more Lovecraftian.
Yeah, but either that would also be interesting. Obviously, it wouldn't quite scratch my itch, but I would at least be more open to that than the fucking rad and the irradiated zombies and the virus zombies. Anyway, Twinkie.
Yeah, but yeah, he kills Ghost. Well, he kills her.
Which is extra funny given that she's called Ghost. Well,
Although she was fighting with a sword, so there is some intelligence that the zombies have. Like Hawkeye, as a zombie, was using his bow and arrow. Like, I mean, again, it was shown that the zombies in the What If episode were capable of using their abilities.
yeah, like Zombie Strange and Zombie Wong are still using magic, and that takes at least some conscious thought somewhere.
All right. Zombie Ben, Twinkie.
Twinkie.
Whoa. That's how you do that then.
Wow.
Small thing, and this really is a nitpick on my part. I would have liked to have seen a version of this series where there were no normal guys left, and we actually got to see things kind of from the zombies' perspective, kind of like that one zombie rom-com thing from a couple of years ago, Warm Bodies. Yeah,
Yeah, it's based on a book.
yeah, I know. It was turned into a movie to coincide with the height of popularity of Walking Dead and Twilight. And as Twilight ripoffs go, I think it's one of the better ones. In fact, considerably better than Twilight, although that's not hard to do. It is a very, very low in the deepest recesses of the underworld bar there. Anyway, Wiki.
Yeah, give me one sec. Well, no, that was the end of the trailer.
Speaking of zombie rom-coms, I know neither of you probably have been are aware of this, but there's a there's there's a gay zombie porno called Auto or Up with Dead Things, where the zombie virus evolves from HIV. I can't tell if it's intentionally or unintentionally hilarious, but God, it's fucking hilarious. If I can find it, I will send you guys an old episode of Browse How High on that movie.
Now,
Although I don't know if it still exists because I've looked for that episode of Browse How High dozens of times and I can never seem to fucking find it.
you know, again, do you ever notice how, like, you think something and then you just say it? And you know you shouldn't?
I didn't notice that this time, but in general, that has happened occasionally.
You mean often?
Occasionally. You seem to overestimate my regret threshold or underestimate my regret threshold. Either way, I have a much higher threshold for regret than you think I do. It takes a lot to make me regret things.
All right.
Probably a good thing considering my anxiety fucking tortures me with regret every time I do regret something. So it's probably a defense mechanism at this point.
All right. Last one. I just thought this was really cool. This came out like a week ago. This is Knights of Guinevere by Glitch Studios. They're the guys who have done Amazing Little Circus, along with Murder Drones, and are currently also working on the Gaslight District, if anyone's seen the pilot of that.
Neat.
Honestly, I might actually send that in the Discord like during October, Gaslight District, because it's very much like Halloween-y.
Mm.
But yeah, this is for one of their new series. It's actually like 2D animation. Well, it looks like 2D animation. It's created by the creator of the Owl House. Hold on, I'm gonna look at that up real quick, just because I feel bad I don't remember her name off the top of my head. Dana Terrace.
Mm.
She's also been a writer, storyboard artist, producer, director, and voice actress for the show as well, and also known for her work on Gravity Falls and the DuckTales reboot.
Which was
So,
not
yeah.
that bad. I didn't like it quite as much as the original, but it's not that bad.
I would say the DuckTales reboot was pretty good, motherfucker.
But like I said, I'm biased. I like the original a little bit better, but
Well, you're an old fuck, so
it's not an insult to the IP like so many of these reboots tend to be.
yeah. I would say Murder Drones was pretty good. Dragon Turtle. I've watched it. It's pretty fucked up. To be fair, a lot of Glitch stuff is actually it's a lot more deeper and darker than you think, but it's very interesting. Like, it's really good stuff. To be fair, Amazing Digital Circus tackles a lot of like existential stuff.
Anyway, can you think of food stuff that would be appropriate here?
They don't really do, not particularly off the top of my head.
I was gonna go with mutton because Arthurian equals medieval.
Well, that's not exactly it here. There is, well, the theming of this. It's complicated.
So
I mean,
just banana then?
I'm just trying to think of like anything else I need to say before we watch it. Right, there is. You know what? I'll save it as we get through the trailer, just because, like I said earlier, it does tie kind of a little bit to our discussion about Disney in the article. So,
Banana.
banana.
Once upon a time, and this was a very long time ago indeed, there was a princess.
Okay, I see what you mean now. They are out Disneying Disney hard here.
Just wait.
Oh goody, it gets better and or worse depending on whether you're on Disney's side or not.
I believe. I don't know if this was intention. I've just seen that some people have inferred it, given how how the Owl House was kind of fucked over by Disney a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of seems.
They went with the old school Don Bluth method of I'm gonna out Disney to prove that I can. Damn it.
It's also kind of meta commentary and critical of Disney's kind of practices of late in some form or fashion. Again, that's from what other people who have watched this trailer and dissected it kind of said, which I kind of see as fair, given again.
Reminds me of the Disney animated segment of the Family Guy Road to the Multiverse episode with the pie song.
So like Shrek was. You know what? I can kind of say that actually.
Anyway, Banana.
Yeah. Let me get to the tab.
Now I have that Family Guy song stuck in my head.
Banana.
Trapped in a tall, tall tower and locked away by complicated machines that ran on blood and fear. Will she ever escape? Will she ever find her knights?
Oh, okay. So there is a little bit of Shrek edgifying Disney here.
Now, to be fair, if you watch any Glitch production stuff, there's always edge, but it's good.
I wasn't really familiar with them before this, so I was sort of expecting them to just try to beat Disney on their own terms, which, to be fair, like I said, Hazbin Hotel is already kind of doing. So
I would say Glitch Productions does a lot better than VivziePop, but yeah.
I'm willing to give her a couple seasons to actually finish doing the World of Link she wanted to do in season 1 that they wouldn't give her the episode count for.
Alright, but it all looks really good, and there's an intrigue here, obviously.
Reminds me a little bit of that Gendy Tartakovsky thing we did the trailer reaction to a while ago.
Unicorn Warriors Eternal.
Yes, that one.
I don't know if it got renewed for another season or two.
I still need to watch the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I watched like some recordings of it I had, but then we stopped getting cable.
So no DVR for you?
Yeah, I can actually probably find it on HBO now that I think about it.
Most likely.
Yeah, I just have to look.
But Banana?
Banana.
Oh, why hello. Didn't notice you there. I'm close.
Yeah, it's dark as shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a cyberpunk Disneyland dystopia kind of thing they're going for.
Reminds me of a lot of the Disney creepypastas.
Also, this kind of feels like something you'd see like in the Renaissance era as well for Disney.
Yeah, it's definitely trying to like ape that aesthetic to mock it.
Also, apparently, I just found out I like round out some when I watched like a Mike Mignola documentary, which I think I sent to you, Dalton.
Mm-hmm.
He worked on Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Like he did the designs for that.
Given Mike Mignola's like crossover with my particular interest, I'm honestly not surprised that he's involved there.
But apparently, the designs he had, like the heavy shadow and art style he had,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't go far enough with the actual movie. Which I mean, it's still a good movie. It's like the one
Right.
best.
But yeah, I'm not surprised they toned down Mike Mignola. Although, as someone who literally has pretty much all the omnibuses of Hellboy I could get my hands on, including the fucking massive like compendium of all the like mainline Hellboy stories, as somebody who loves Mike Mignola's stuff, I have to say I would have. I wish I would have at least seen what they were working with for his original ideas, because all the times I've seen Mike Mignola's style adapted to animation, like in Hellboy Blood and Iron and Hellboy Sword of Storms, look really good. So it would have been cool to see.
Okay. Okay. I kind of have a synopsis here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sci-fi psychological thriller animated series. Oh, it's going to come out September 19th. So
little bit over a week away.
or maybe 2.
Well, today is what the okay.
Yeah.
So plus 7 would be 14. So it'd be a week and a half.
Yeah. The series features a character named Gwynny, a broken princess android in a planet-wide cloud-themed park called Park Planet, whose story may involve a group of technicians who become her knights. The series blends fantasy elements with dark, unsettling themes, exploring Gwynny's potential self-realization and the oppressive nature of the theme park. Yeah, if that doesn't sound like criticism of fucking Disney, I don't know what
Yeah,
to
so what I'm getting is Westworld plus My Life as a Teenage Robot.
there actually was a teaser that was. I really wish I had gotten that early, like when that first came out. We could have covered it, but I think we were busy at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It really does send up the psycho thriller.
Mm.
Hilarious Dragon Turtle. So a psych thriller about a psycho killer.
To be fair, there's quite a few of those. There's American Psycho. There's Dexter.
Dexter Resurrection.
Well,
Original Sin.
Dexter just as an IP in general.
He's a lot more evil in the books.
Yeah.
To be fair,
They upped the anti-hero for the good season of Dexter.
To be fair, apparently he was also possessed. Like the Dark Passenger was an actual demon that possessed him.
So they basically went full kill or be killed.
I guess.
I'll have to send you the video Anglantine, Dom, and I did on Kill or Be Killed. Although I think Dom might have been busy for that one. But yeah.
Yeah, this definitely feels like this feels like Dana Terrace's critique of Disney kind of fucking her over because she had a lot more planned, but I think they really condensed a lot of her story stuff.
Honestly, my dear, the line of people with grievances against Disney starts over here. You are in very good company.
This looks genuinely good, and again, I think we also have to mention this is an indie thing as well, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Glitch Productions is effectively it's an animation studio, but it's basically on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, Dexter. Well, it's yeah, he apparently was possessed. Like the Dark Passenger was an actual spirit.
Normally, I am in favor of stuff like that. I'm of two minds on it for Dexter though, because I really liked the good seasons of Dexter, which are like the first 2 or 3. But
the Dana Terrace made the Owl House, Dragon Turtle.
But oh yeah. Normally I'm in favor of introducing supernatural elements to just about everything, but I'm of two minds on it for Dexter because I'm not sure if it works quite as well as. Granted, I started listening to the first book in audiobook format. I haven't gotten very far in it, so maybe the books justify it more. But I'm having a hard time seeing the Dark Passenger being a supernatural entity as a good idea here.
When they introduce the cult of Moloch, which Dark Passenger apparently is a child of Moloch, in their ritual killings, it scares it so bad, like the murders, it leaves Dexter, and Dexter has to confront all the evil he's done, like all the lives he's taken. Basically, to
Wait.
feel all.
Dexter goes after apocalyptic occult cults. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Like again, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but the idea of Dexter's, the one who kills the killers thing, bringing him up against a demonic cult, kind of like, it almost feels like someone made fan fiction explicitly for me, and that would be like that seems like, has somebody been staring at my Christmas list when I wasn't looking or something kind of shit. Holy fuck.
I've heard generally good stuff about it, Giant Turtle, the Owl House.
I've heard good things about it too. I've heard a lot of really good things, but I've never watched it, so I don't really have a point of reference.
I've seen bits and I've seen a bit of it. I think it's generally good. Like I said, it kind of got condensed a bit by studio executives.
Yeah, because studio meddling. That's what everyone who has good things to say about it says. It's another one of those stories that got fucked over by the studio.
I mean, it still kind of did actually get the end, like the season 3 in air quotes. Were basically like kind of short movies. So like the latter series of Generator Rex.
Speaking of things getting shafted, oh my god, Generator Rex.
Anyway, because I am tired.
Banana. Yes, yeah. Banana.
Meet some very good friends of mine.
Yeah, this is gonna look good. This is gonna be good.
Hopefully.
Well, again, I've watched a lot of Glitz production stuff, and it's always good. It's always entertaining. It's interesting, and it's a lot more thought provoking than a lot of like mainstream stuff.
Like I said, I haven't seen any of their stuff, so I don't have a point of reference for this yet. I hope it's good. It looks like it could be interesting.
I mean, if you want, I can send like one of their series to you.
What's it about?
I said one of them. I don't know if Murder Drones would be up your alley. I mean, it has Lovecraftian stuff involving robots. It's a whole thing. Maybe Amazing Digital Circuits. I mean, it's
bless you.
It's still going on. They released the pilot not too long ago for Gaslight District, which I think would be up your alley, mind you, because it's very supernatural and stuff. And
okay, so I will wait for Gaslight District then to give them their best chance of hitting me where I live, so to speak.
Thank you. I can send you the pilot if you want. Thank you, Giant Troll. But no, I do think this is going to do well, and it's very telling how big Glitch Productions has gotten. because it's getting people like Dana Terrace to come in and work on something. Granted, it is her own project, which I appreciate that they're willing to let her do that and give her the resources to do that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If Dawn's up for it, if Gaslight District interests him, we can watch the first episode of when it comes out and do a review of it.
Yeah, we will see in October, I suppose.
Yeah, actually, that would make a lot of sense. God damn it! I shouldn't. It's really just the cough, but fuck.
It's persistent cough. Anyway, outro time so that Brainstormer doesn't fall asleep at the wheel here.
Yeah, I'm actually like trying to keep myself awake right now. So with that, folks, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, avidazai, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
Shalom and fuck off so Brainstormer can get some sleep. We will see you all in the next one. Cheers, guys.
peace.